I think it's going to be a cranky podcast this week, you guys. I'm
Mr. Grumpy Pants?
I'm sorry. I might be a little grumpy pants. My back has been killing me for the last 3 days, and that means that I haven't slept. I've slept even less than usual, but it doesn't matter. I'm taking all of my remaining strength to say, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rage Select Podcast. I am Jeff.
That is all the strength he had.
That's what I got. You guys want to introduce yourselves, or you just keep them guessing? I'm glad to go. I'm with me as always is Brainiac and
it's Pinky and the Brain.
Pinky and the Brain. Okay.
Gee golly, Bryce.
What are we going to do tonight?
No, John and Amanda. You guys.
That's hold on.
That?
That's Lord John Sitton.
Lord John's son.
Sitton. John Sitton.
Lord John
Sitton.
Lord John Sitton.
I have been appointed the title of Lord
His Regency,
in the Principality of Sealand.
His Excellency.
This is all an actual thing.
Whoa.
By the way.
Hold on. Did Shamu make you a lord?
No, not Sea World, Sealand.
Oh, okay.
This is it was a birthday gift from our brother.
Is it full of sea men?
It's literally a offshore.
willing.
It's an unrecognized country that's based off of an offshore oil rig outside of the UK.
Okay,
and they actually sell the title of you can buy land on it and Lord. A title of Lord.
So you got like a square foot of a closet. And
yeah,
that's like your the principality of Sitton.
Yeah, well, it's like I have the title of Lord now.
Okay,
it was a gift from my brother for my birthday.
Wow.
So
I'm a pope. Did you know that?
So yeah, well, that's cool.
Freaking pope.
I got ordained as a pope of the
Flying Spaghetti Monster.
No, the Discordian Church by Robert Anton Wilson himself.
Ah, well, there you go.
So yeah. That was cool. I got to see that guy talk, and he just basically sat in a chair and ranted and drank gin for like 3 hours straight.
That sounds like your dream.
Yeah,
that's how you become pope. I
think
thought
I paid $20.
That's how the pope, the actual pope.
Is that how you become pope?
Yeah,
I thought it had something to do with like smokestacks and
that's
shovel enough coal into the smokestack fire becomes that's Jesus helps you with your smokestack.
I just figured the fire got started in a drunken haze, and they went, "What, Pope?"
I like the idea of all of those. I don't know what the names for them, the Vatican dudes.
Yeah,
like just
cardinals.
Yeah, when they're not doing they're not like out to the public. They're all wearing like popped collars and like khaki shorts, and they're doing like beer bong shots.
They're
and
like
stuff.
God bros.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly, God bros. That's awesome. Well, Amanda, is there any special title that I should be adhering to you? Duchess of Cake or like
Duchess of Cake?
That's I don't know.
No, okay.
I've been calling John this entire time.
No, well,
one
of my hidden jobs, people call me mistress, but that's a different. I don't want to talk about that job.
Okay,
so
that's off the books.
That's
cash only.
Yeah,
okay,
it's all under the table stuff.
Fair enough.
In a dungeon, it's
yeah,
it's real private. I don't like to talk about my private life on this show.
You should write a book about it. Maybe they'll make a movie. Did I read something? I don't keep up with this shit because it's literally horse shit. Okay, this is a mean Jeff Day, but this is legitimately horse shit. Is that fine lady who is writing the 50 Shades of Grey book, rewriting the first 50 Shades of Grey book from the 50 Grey guys' perspective or something?
That sounds right. That sounds like something she would do.
I think you're probably right.
So does that essentially mean she's doing a fan fiction of her work of fan fiction?
I don't know. I mean, I would read it if there was significantly more like ninjas or goblins or trolls or something like that.
Yeah, like every time they have weird kinky rape sex, and then he goes off and you don't know what he's doing. Now you know he's actually fighting like cave trolls.
He's going to Narnia.
Yeah,
in between.
Yeah,
that's where.
exactly.
Okay, all right.
It's called 50 Shades of Blood Splatter.
I think I was just about to say that if they called that book 50 Shades of Rape Sex, it probably wouldn't have sold quite as well.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, that would be a weird.
You
thing
never know
to see at the airport when you're like, oh, okay, and Tom Clancy.
So just as long as you fill it with rape sex, but you don't use the title rape sex, is when it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody actually has used that title before for anything, but
not yet.
I don't know. Well, you know what? This is the part of the show where we talk about what we did last week, which I'm probably going to have to...
Speaking of rape sex.
That was not my intended segue. Hey, you know, when
what have you been doing, Jeff?
I've been doing nothing.
There is a legitimate reason why he is Mr. Grumpy Pants.
I last week I did not. All I did was
playing the rape game, huh?
Oh no.
So you have played the rape game?
No.
That's right.
Somebody Somebody actually
seem like an expert.
We talked. Was it you that was on that I was talking about playing like weirdo sex games on Rage Select for like a new segment? Everyone was just like, yes, do that immediately.
I don't know, but I'm totally down to be the person that plays the weird, creepy Japanese sex games.
Yeah?
Yeah, dude, I'm down. Let's do that.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to see. But last week we had a RAGECAST.
Yeah.
And I don't really have much. I mean, by the time this goes up, all the video of it should be up. But I did have. Okay, so I don't know if you guys like. For the second time at a RAGECAST, I woke up the next day and in my garbage found the food container of like 4-month-old food that somebody had put in my fridge that somebody had eaten. And I'm pretty sure I know who it was.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that I went up and told them. I'm pretty sure I went as far as to say, do not eat that, and actually took it out of their hand and put it back in my fridge and said, that's real old, please don't eat it.
And yet you put it back in the fridge.
If I put it in the trash, it's just going to smell. I don't. People may not know this about me, but I do not make a lot of trash. I take my trash can out like once a month, unless there's a RAGECAST, right? But so I try not to put uneaten food in my trash.
I feel like you do this intentionally. It
What?
seems like every RAGECAST,
Yeah.
you have old food in your fridge, waiting for the drunks.
Nope. This was somebody who went to gyms with me one night when I was drunk, and then like took some of their food to go and put it in my fridge, and then when they left the next morning, they
Right, but it's your fridge, so it's your responsibility once it gets left behind.
I didn't put.
Were
that
you
in my
hoping they were
fridge.
going to come back like 4 weeks later and get that shit out of there?
Brian Salisbury put a sandwich in my fridge 2 weeks ago. It's still there. I'm like, hey man.
So now here's the question: did the person who ate it, was it the same person who went to gyms with you and bought it?
No.
Did they like go in the fridge and went, "Oh my god, my food's still here. I'm gonna eat this"?
No, not at all. It was a whole other person. And this time, like the first time, I gave a pretty vague warning because I was already like just dramatically super drunk, right?
Yeah.
But this time, I was sober enough to give a very explicit warning about do not eat this. It is real old. I actually went and bought like the dozen breakfast taco box at Taco Cabana at like 4 o'clock in the morning and brought it back. I'm like, there's food here for you all.
Yeah, eat food.
Right. That has not been in my fridge. But I don't know. Now I feel like I should start. Like, it should be like a game, right? Where I just
You should have like different bags of food. Some of them from that day, some of them from 2 weeks ago.
That's right.
See if he's just drawn to old food.
I want to start with a real passive-aggressive office note on my food that's like, hey, you didn't buy this, don't eat it. Because, or maybe the trick is that I should take all of the food out, but leave the like 6 containers of like year-old barbecue sauce that are in there.
See if they just start drinking
and
barbecue
see if they just
sauce.
start drinking the barbecue sauce. And then if they start eating the
it'll
old
happen.
mustard. And
That sounds like a plan, man.
yeah? Just put them real tantalizingly right in the middle with a big note on them that says, please do not eat this.
Yes.
But that's the only story that I have because well, and then somebody threw up in my backyard. But that's
Who was it? Name names.
I'm not naming names. I'm not naming any names. There, last time the person who ate the horrible old Domino's pizza out of my fridge, they like copped to it later on. They're like, that was totally me.
So this person was going to
that person was totally like, yeah, no, that was totally me. I didn't get sick from it either. It was weird.
Yeah.
Is it the same person that ate the other old food?
No,
No.
it was a different person. But
Now I'm narrowing it down in my head. This is like a game of Guess Who. I'm like clicking down faces.
But I will say the one really nice thing about drinking with a bunch of like 35-year-old alcoholics is that the next day there was like zero cleanup. I took out a bag of bottles and like washed some dishes and that was it. And like nobody did anything except for the throw up part. But
Yeah, well, at least it was in the backyard.
yeah.
And not like in your living room.
Yes.
It's not like on your couch
No, that would have been
with like a pillow over it to hide.
yeah, that would have been inexcusable. I would have been on a rampage to find out who had done that if that was the case. But
You've been all CSI with the vomit. Nice.
right.
I like it. Enhance.
I just imagine just a picture, just a cell phone picture of puke up on my TV. And I'm like, enhance sector J4. What are those car keys? What the fuck?
Who had cars?
Who ate my car keys? But no, it was a good time. I know that by the end of it, I was pretty rip roaring drunk in a way. I drank one of the Jason Murphy specials, which was like half like one of those glasses that you get at Target full of like watermelon vodka and then like Kool-Aid on top of that. And that was the end of me. I was like 8 beers in and it wasn't that bad. And then I drank that and then it was bad.
It's always awkward being sober at like RAGECasts and stuff because everyone's like, woo, having having a good time, and you're like, yes, it's a decent, fun time. Like, you always feel much more calm than everybody else. Like, everything seems super exciting.
I usually just sit there and smile and be like, "This is hilarious. These people are making idiots of themselves."
Yep. Yeah. That's kind of, I used to be real uptight whenever I'd go to like a friend's party or something, and I would get like super wasted.
Mm-hmm.
And then at one point, one of my friends said to me, he's like, "Dude, we were all super wasted. Like, I don't even remember half the shit that you did, and you're all embarrassed about it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that seems pretty good." But that's why I always.
But I remember everything.
That's why I worry about John, because John
knows everyone's secrets.
That's right. Like, I can't even imagine some of those bar trips that we've made over the years. You guys used to, we used to go on Sunday nights to this bar by my house, and you two would just come there and sit there and kind of just
watch people get drunk.
Watch me get drunk. That's the thing, is that most of the time it was just you guys and me,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just sit there and drink beer after beer after beer. So.
Yeah.
I would drink occasionally.
You do?
She does occasionally.
Not a lot. It's been a while since I've been drunk.
I like Hammered Amanda. Hammered Amanda's she's fun.
I like to get a little crazy.
I
make it happen.
Well, let's see. Outside of that, it's just been recording and doing nothing this week. Have you guys done anything fantastic with your weekends? With your week?
My birthday was on Monday.
Happy birthday!
Played some more Batman.
Our anniversary was also Monday.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary!
Yeah.
I was going to see if he said anything, and he didn't, which is interesting.
Okay.
Sorry.
Nah, just kidding.
What'd you guys do?
Watched wrestling.
We went to gyms.
Went to gyms.
Did you actually go to
Our
gyms?
first date was at a gyms.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I can't believe you two
wanna-
went to gyms and didn't call me.
Yeah, it was not. It was actually.
First of all,
That's
we're
my
not going to
turf.
bring you to our anniversary
Yeah.
I
dinner.
could have gotten you a discount. Maybe. I don't know.
That'd have been weird.
They
know.
Like, happy anniversary.
Also, it was not a great experience. So.
Oh, yeah, it was kind of...
What
Because it was
happened?
tons of flies.
Flies?
Yeah.
Flies all over the fucking
Is this
place.
the gyms that I go to?
Yeah, the one that. Yeah.
Huh. Why all the flies?
I don't
Did you
know.
complain?
No, we just kind of ate our
They
food and
kind of
left.
just showed up after... Like,
We ate?
Yeah, so it was just weird.
So wait, when
Like-
you were eating, there were no flies, and then when you were done,
Yeah, and
flies?
they were synchronized flying as well. It was really weird.
What?
Like there was like 4 flies that were like flying in a. I'm doing a hand motion so Jeff will know, but you
Yes.
listeners can't know.
Right.
They're just doing like this movement where they're all moving in the exact same formation, and it was just like really weird. Like at first I thought it was hallucinating, and I was like, okay, maybe there's something in this. Hey Amanda, do you see all these flies? She goes, yeah, there's like 4 of them right over there, and I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy.
I think it's more gross when you eat all your food and then all of a sudden 5 flies show up in front of you. Because then it's like, what if there were more?
Yeah.
And I ate them.
Then you just got bonus protein. What are you talking about?
First of all, I don't need bonus protein.
Okay.
No one gets psyched about bonus protein. Surprise bonus protein is just a nice way of saying rape sex again.
Oh,
I was gonna say
man.
surprise butt sex, but yeah.
Okay, so you went to gyms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was your birthday. Did you score any sick ass loot for your birthday?
I got some cool stuff. I got some. I'm trying to think of what everything I got because like I opened some of the gifts like a day early.
You got Eddie and the Cruisers?
Yeah, I got Eddie and the Cruisers 1 and 2 on Blu-ray from my sister.
Okay.
Because I love that movie. I got Mad Max trilogy from Amanda's family.
Okay.
I got.
That's a good one.
I got a title of Lord from my brother and some land on the Principality of Sealand.
Okay.
I love that you-
Sealand.
Yeah.
It's
It's a thing.
Sealand's
Do a Google
land of
search on it.
sea.
It's a real thing.
You
But
have the first 10 issues of Punisher
yeah,
2099.
Amanda got me the first 10 issues of Punisher 2099.
I
which
also got
are,
you Delirious on DVD.
Yes.
The John Candy movie.
okay.
because it's one of my favorite John Candy movies.
I don't
And
know if I've ever seen it or
it's
if it's been so
the
long.
stupidest movie ever. It's basically he's a writer for a soap opera.
Okay.
And he gets injured and he gets like hit on the head, and he goes to the town, or inadvertently goes to the town that the soap opera.
Okay.
And then he realizes that if he writes scripts, those scripts will become reality in this world.
This is very complicated.
Yeah, but it's really stupid
it's
and
also
really
a John
silly.
Candy
It's
movie.
John Candy.
Okay.
Being John Candy at his best.
All right.
And it's a really silly movie. When you watch it, it's like, wow, this is stupid but amazing at the same time.
Okay.
And I also got you Cadillac and Dinosaurs.
Yes, and you
Sega
got me
CD.
Cadillacs and Dinosaurs for the Sega CD.
That was a cartoon, wasn't it?
It was a comic book first.
Comic book? Okay.
Comic book, cartoon, video game, and an arcade game.
Was that around the time that like they were? Well, it was like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were everywhere, and so there was like Samurai Pizza Cats and Cowboys and Boom
This was a little bit before that.
Oh, okay.
Those are all different times.
And those are all
Pizza
different time
Cats
periods.
Was later 90s. Ninja Turtles was early 90s.
Time is a mystery.
Cadillac and Dinosaurs was late 80s.
Amanda,
if I'm not
The
time-
Xenozoic era.
Is
That's the time of Cadillac and dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's all yesterday to me. As
Yeah.
I don't.
Matter of fact, if I remember correctly, I think the publisher was called Xenozoic.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. Maybe sorry. That's my nerdiness. You both looked at me like I have no fucking clue what you're talking
Jeff wasn't
about.
going to say anything, I wasn't going to say anything.
You could be right. You could be like it was from the Baby Ruth era. And
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right.
But
history.
The candy or the baseball player.
That's right.
Yeah, but,
whatever.
yeah.
Doesn't matter.
There was a lot of really awesome gifts.
Cool.
And I got some money from other family members.
Okay. Always a good gift.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got a rock of crack.
A crack rock?
No, I did not get a crack rock.
I'm like, if you got a crack rock, you got to share it. That's in the bylaws of Rage Select, right?
No. But yeah, other than that, I think that's all the gifts that I was given by other people, which is, not counting gifts I'm going to give to myself.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Gross.
What are you going to give? Well, do I even want to know? The way you said that, at first I was like, all right, let's sit. Well,
What are you going to give yourself?
maybe
I think it was Amanda's going gross.
The contextualization kind of, yeah.
I don't know. Like I usually buy myself one gift or something, but I haven't really thought about it
Solid gold Sega
because
CD.
I was broke
Classic.
until this week, until
Solid
like
gold dancer.
within the last couple days. So I haven't really thought about it. I was planning on buying something for myself this week.
Okay. All right. Well, I tell you what, we actually have a pretty good selection of news this week.
Sweet.
So let's jump right in to our very first story. In fact, like our first 3 or 4 stories are all kind of Nolan North Naughty Dog-ish related.
I love Nolan North and Naughty Dog.
Great.
I love Naughty North. What are we talking about?
So the first
Naughty
thing
North.
was, I don't know if you guys saw this, but they released basically, that Uncharted 4 demo that they had at E3 this year?
Yes, I remember it.
They released a version. Oh, okay, hold on. I've got this actually open in a different window. They released a version that picks up basically from where that demo left off, and then continues for like another 7 minutes. And it's pretty cool. I mean, outside of the fact that that Nathan Drake should be dead, like about 4 times over in this.
Well, that's true for every game.
Yeah, I guess it's.
And wait, isn't that kind of the whole point of this game? Is that the idea that he might die?
Well, I don't know.
Hence the title, Thief's End.
I don't. Okay. So without like, if you're, I don't know anything specific, but if you're not into speculation, skip forward a couple minutes. But like, now that we know that his brother is in there, I was actually just thinking about this today, and it's a Thief's End. I'm starting to think that it's probably going to be his brother who gets.
Oh, okay.
I mean, his brother's all brash and stuff. So this actually has a few different things that are interesting in it. But the first part is basically just more of this action sequence that started way up in this town, and now it's like shooting off the side of this truck and then jumping to Jeeps, and there's shit that's blowing up, and it's pretty much Uncharted. It's just a big old set piece the way that Uncharted generally tends to be. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, can't wait for it.
And absolutely fantastic. I mean, there's Nolan North gets dragged behind that crane for a little while, and his clothes are all muddy. And I'll
That's
skip
hot.
forward a little bit on this, but it's like his car
and when you say
crashes.
Nolan North, you mean Nathan Drake.
Nathan Drake, sorry.
Nolan North
One
is
and
the
the
voice.
same.
They're pretty much the same thing in
All right.
my mind at this point. But they've got this whole sequence where he's trapped under his car and he has to get out and he's got to shoot people. He has a nice little argument with his brother about, like his brother's got a motorcycle and about if they're going to take the motorcycle or his truck or whatever, and he gets on the motorcycle, and that happens earlier. Anyway, the whole thing actually wraps up with a big, spectacular, climactic scene where shit's blowing up all over the place, and then the two brothers leave. And I actually really like this because they kind of wrote Sully back a little bit in 3, I feel like, where this is much more like, it seems like Nathan Drake's brother in this is taking more of the role that we saw that like Elena and Chloe took in Uncharted 2 of being like a sidekick.
Yeah.
Right? Now I can't tell if there's going to be. I mean, in that sequence where they were in the market or whatever, Sully was fighting alongside of Drake, and then in this sequence, it's like riding on the back of a motorcycle, shooting up a truck. But at the end of this, they quip and they talk about kind of what they're going after this time, I guess, which is this pirate city that has, by the way, again, skip forward a couple minutes if you don't want any of the story details of Uncharted 4 if you want to go into it fresh. But some kind of pirate city where pirate haven where all these pirates used to hang out. They used to put all their money together, and then that's what they're looking for is basically this hidden cache of old pirate treasure. But then at the very end of the trailer, and this is the big spoiler part, they're at their hotel talking, and also I got to say that in this particular part of the trailer, the faces and everybody look amazing.
Yeah, they look great.
They look really good.
Naughty Dog's fucking tops with that shit.
Yeah, in fact, Sully looks a lot better than he used to. But at the very, very end of this trailer, they walk into a room, and we see a familiar face, which is Elena is in there. And she says something along the lines of like, "Oh, your trip to so-and-so, you're really off path, right?" So we're getting a little hint of the fact that it looks like he probably lied to her about where he was going, and then he's off doing his thing.
Weren't they married by the end of 3?
I think so. I'm not entirely certain. Again, I don't entirely remember the end of that. I mean, I know that the whole Chloe stuff was all pretty much done. I can't remember whether they actually got married over the course between 2 or 3 or at the end of 3.
Yeah, it was supposed to be they got married and he was supposed to be like retired.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
Okay, then
again, it's been a while since I played the game.
Yeah,
so.
I'm afraid I don't know, but
I'm really looking forward to the Uncharted collection to replay through all those games.
Yeah, me too.
Because I lost my copy of 2 and can't replay it.
2 is the best in my opinion, but that's just me. Anyway, this all looks absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend if people want to look at Uncharted. Amanda, what do you feel about Uncharted?
I've never played it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel nothing. I feel no joy nor no sorrow for this game.
So which is
I let you guys. Yeah, I was like, neat.
Whatever.
I think I've seen people play it. I've seen like Let's Plays and stuff of it.
Right.
And it's an interesting game.
That Grant and I played all the way through the first one.
Yeah, you guys do a show or whatever. That's cool. I watch, but I don't play mainly because I hate the PlayStation controller.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
I'm an Xbox girl.
Fair enough.
Or a Nintendo girl.
Fair enough. Well, let's see. This is just the beginning because there's a whole bunch of Naughty Dog news in here. The first of which is there was apparently a panel at MetroCon in Tampa where Nolan North was talking about Amy Hennig and...
Yeah, he was just talking about a lot of stuff.
He's talking about a lot of stuff. We'll get to the
his mouth.
other thing in a minute. Yeah, apparently, I don't know if Nolan North's just one of those guys where they're just like, well, we can't fire Drake. So, but he was talking about the project that Amy Hennig is working on for EA, right? The Star Wars project. Mm-hmm. And he was saying it's actually a lot like an Uncharted, but in the Star Wars universe. And then he also talked about how Star Wars 1313, like he said, that apparently that project is going to end up being a lot like 1313. Even said he went in and did some motion capture or is either for 1313 or for whatever this new game is, which is cool because I think that I like that style of gameplay.
Yeah.
And I think that it's unlike something like Battlefront or even some of the other games that we've seen, Star Wars The Old Republic, the nice thing about the Uncharted style of gaming is that it gives you the ability to have these moments like we saw in that first trailer where you've got just death-defying set pieces, right? Or like an Uncharted 2 where you're running down the street and you've got that truck right behind you, stuff that you can't necessarily do as much in either an RPG or...
Yeah, it's very cinematic.
Yeah, and so I think that would be great because I'm trying to think of what the last big... cinematic Star Wars game. What was the last Star Wars game? We did
Force Unleashed.
No.
Unleashed 2.
The last Star Wars game that came out, I believe, was outside of the pinball and mobile stuff. I think was actually Kinect Star Wars.
Yeah, I think you're right on
that.
One
point. But yeah, probably Force Unleashed 2 was the last real
story-driven
cinematic one. I'm trying to think.
I mean, unless you count like the Lego games.
I guess Star Wars: The Old Republic
or the Clone Wars games. Did they have Clone Wars games?
I don't. I think there was one. I think it was like a Clone Wars Adventures game or something like that. I think that Star Wars: The Old Republic is probably the last. But then even then, that was real BioWare kind of just back and forth. Like I'm trying to think of what the last like zip boom bang blowing up stuff. And I think probably Force Unleashed would be the last one that I remember that was fairly realistic looking. It wasn't in that Clone Wars style and had a lot of shit blowing up. So I think they're about due for that because that's one of the great things about Star Wars is that whole cinematic action. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the prequels, but there's some of that episode 3, like that beginning part where they're blowing stuff up all over the place. That's impressive, at least from a special effects standpoint, or I guess a CGI standpoint. But yeah, for everybody who is bemoaning the death of Star Wars 1313, looks like you're going to get something pretty similar, which is good. Amanda, you care about Star Wars?
Star Wars is amazing. I like Star Wars. I read the Star Wars comic book. Do you read the Star Wars comic book?
I don't. Jason told me for a long time that there was like a Darth Vader comic that was really, really good.
Yeah, it's in issue 7 or 8.
Or no. It wasn't that. There was some kind of like Agent of the Empire.
Oh, that's an old book from a different company. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's called Agent of the Empire.
Marvel got the rights to Star Wars back.
Well, they
in the Disney.
Yeah, because Disney purchased it, so they moved them off of wherever the hell they were on. And
Dark Horse.
That's the word. I keep thinking Image because Image had a bunch of announcements today. But so they moved them to Marvel, and everyone was really worried about Star Wars on Marvel. And they've been fucking fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah, they've been amazing.
That's cool.
Star Wars and Darth Vader are ongoing books, and they are taking place between New Hope and Empire, and they're great. Like, it's super good. And then they have another one that's like shorter runs, 5-issue series of different characters. So they just finished Princess Leia. The next one's going to be about Lando Calrissian.
Cool.
And it's awesome.
Rad.
But I know nothing of this game. I will play this game. But I have nothing to say about it.
I think the only Star Wars comics that I ever got into were the Old Republic ones, like the real old ones when like lightsabers had to have like cords coming off of them that went to your backpack or whatever. Anyway, so then the other thing, and this is probably the biggest thing, is that Nolan North, again, we talked about can't
keep his mouth shut,
North, man. Yeah, can't stop the North. Apparently, Last of Us 2 is a thing that Naughty Dog is doing.
Yeah.
What if he's lying?
Then he's a son of a bitch, and I hate him.
Well, it's funny because what was it? Who's the main actor for The Last of Us? The guy that
played Joel?
Yeah, isn't it?
I don't know.
Oh my God, it's fucking.
Is he an actual actor?
Yeah.
Can you give?
Well,
me
I mean,
a
he's an
hint?
actor who's also done a lot of video games as well.
That doesn't.
Why is my mind blanking? I feel really bad.
Because you need it. You need to know.
This was characters. Troy Baker.
Troy Baker. There you go.
Baker.
It's Troy Baker. Yeah, someone asked Troy Baker like a week before this Nolan North thing happened.
Yeah.
And Troy Baker's like, no one's talked to me about a sequel or anything. I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
And then Nolan North's like, they're totally making a sequel.
Let's see. What did he say? I know they're doing The Last of Us 2. Okay. I was trying to watch this before he... I was trying to watch the panel with him before we got started. But
he went on to say, like, I know nothing. I don't know... oh, no, that was Troy Baker that was saying I know nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just thought it was really hilarious that he was just like, yeah, they're going to do Last of Us 2 from what I understand. And then Troy Baker, the guy who's like the main character of the game, is just like, oh.
You know what? I think that's really interesting because I would like for them to be doing The Last of Us 2 without Joel and maybe an older Ellie, right? I'd like for that storyline instead of like I do not want them to pick up anywhere within say 10 years of the end of The Last of Us. Like I think that another story like that needs to take place way later. Just because it's a really interesting world, and I hope that they would evolve it a little bit instead of just basically
rehashing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like if we're just kind of doing, if it's a similar world as to what they've got, then I don't know. I just feel like that would be boring. Like they made such a great world that I feel like they really need to push it forward in order to get more story out of it. Or I don't know. Maybe The Last of Us 2 is going to be like a whole another story of similar characters that are not Joel and Ellie during that same time period, right? When that stuff is happening, or maybe directly after. I mean, I don't. Do you think that video game fandom could handle that if they made a Last of Us 2 and it didn't have anything to do with Joel and Ellie?
Yes.
Yes?
Oh, yeah. I think as long as they set it up now and not like they do 2 games following these 2 characters and then the third game doesn't. It doesn't work that way. Okay. It's like Fast and Furious. Nobody liked Tokyo Drift because there was no Vin Diesel, no Paul Walker.
No. You can't. Tokyo Drift was awesome.
Right, okay.
No, it's no one liked Too Fast, Too Furious because it didn't have Vin Diesel. Tokyo Drift, no one went and saw, but it was actually a really good movie.
I was thinking more like Halloween 2 Season of the Witch. It didn't have any Michael Myers in it, right?
Yes.
When they just wanted to make it an anthology
that works too.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
same idea. The point is, like, you can't set an idea of it being about these two people and then change it later.
Right.
But if you just go, no, this is the world we've created, and we're going to explore other parts of this world.
Yeah.
That works better.
I mean, I guess I just thought that The Last of Us, the ambiguity of the end of The Last of Us is such a beautiful thing that to pick it back up and explain that there's a canonical ending there kind of ruins a little bit of just the, because it was a great thing to talk about and think about. And, it was a very interesting character moment in a video game. It was a very interesting character moment just in stories in general, right?
Yeah.
Like it had more depth and kind of heart to it than a lot of movies that I've seen, right? And then just to pick it up and go, oh no, here's what happened. And then to be like, oh, okay, well, fuck, man, you kind of fucked it up, right?
Well, I mean, you could say the same. I didn't want to know how Nathan Drake and Sully met.
Well,
and we got that in Uncharted 3.
Yeah, I guess
I could have gone without a lot of that story from Uncharted 3 ever having been explained to me.
Not a super big fan of Uncharted 3, so you're preaching to the choir. But I don't know though. Last of Us 2, it kind of bums me out a little bit, right?
Yeah,
because they're making Uncharted 4, and I always like it when a studio is able to kind of just leave their franchise behind and do something new. Because if they just kept making Uncharted sequels, we never would have gotten The Last of Us, right?
Yeah.
Hell, if they would have kept making Jack and Daxter sequels, we never would have gotten Uncharted, right?
Yeah.
So I like it when companies are able to just say what they want to say, put a pin in it, and then just go, no. It's one of the reasons why, as much as I'm looking forward to Metal Gear Solid 5, if there were people who were asking me, like, do you think there should be a Metal Gear Solid 5? My answer was no. I want Kojima to go do whatever the fuck he wants.
I'm sure Kojima wanted to go do something else.
The same way that when we were talking about Dark Souls 3, I'm like, I'm excited for Dark Souls 3, but I like Bloodborne. I'd rather see Miyazaki go do other stuff that he wants to do instead of getting chained into a franchise where you feel like you can't explore different things.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Plus, I thought that the combat and the whole engine of The Last of Us was really unique and interesting from a video game perspective, and I'd like to see them push that kind of weird play it the way you want to, because they had it, they kind of did that kind of, I would always hesitate to, I don't want to make the direct comparison, but kind of like Deus Ex, where you can do it a few different ways. You can sneak past people, you can do this thing.
Right.
Except that when the action started, it was that very kind of loose Uncharted action instead of being the very stiff type of action you see in something like Deus Ex. And so I liked it a lot, and I just hope that this doesn't keep them too far in development for this, of course. Then we also have to see whether Amy Hennig was like the linchpin for all the storytelling at
It's a good question.
So, all right. Well, next up, Sony is launching a crowdfunding service initiative thing called First Flight. Have you read about this?
I have not heard about this.
Okay, apparently this is it's only in Japan, and it's currently not part of the games division. The first three things that they're working on are apparently this mesh smart DIY kit that allows people to create, this is just right off of this article on Game Informer, allow people to create simple machines through the use of smartphone app smartphone app-based visual logic. The other is FES Watch, an e-paper watch that can change style, which I think sounds great because I think e-paper is the shit.
Yeah.
And then the last one was the Huis remote controller, an e-paper remote controller that can be customized to control a variety of different devices. Now, as I understand it from what they're saying here, this is only happening in Japan right now, and it's only being used for these three hardware devices. There is no plan, or there hasn't been any word, I think, currently from Kaz Hirai about whether this is going to be moving into games as well. But the reason I brought this up is that I think it's interesting in its own right, but what I really wanted to do was kind of get you guys, what do you guys think about an actual company running their own crowdfunding project for, like, let's say that new Jack and Daxter, right? But that Sony themselves were running a donation/crowdfunding project in order to gauge interest on that and cut down on their own development costs for it.
I wish there was a way to gauge interest without forcing your fan base to pay before getting the content.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you're hitting a really dangerous territory at this point.
Yeah,
I mean,
agree.
because if it's different, and I know it's unfair bias because I'm a Double Fine fan, but it's kind of different because Double Fine is its own company and asks for crowdfunding to help develop its game.
Right.
Also to show that there is actual interest in point-and-click adventures that they didn't believe there was.
Right.
But they couldn't have afforded to make that game by themselves. So they needed the crowdfunding. I don't know if like a company like Sony needs crowdfunding to help them. So then it's just about making sure they have interest in that project, but then they're still taking your money along with it.
Yeah.
And I just don't like that.
It's a slippery slope.
Because
agree.
then they might hold stuff hostage from you.
Right.
Well, they'll be like, oh, well, you guys want this game, but we need to make sure there's interest in it. So you're going to have to help us out by generating this much money.
You know, I see it's interesting because I definitely see that. On the other hand, I can see a scenario where like you know, where the whole world says they want Beyond Good and Evil 2 to actually come out, right?
Yeah.
And then Beyond Good and Evil 2 comes out and it doesn't sell worth a shit.
Yeah.
Kind of like Beyond Good and Evil 1, right?
Actually, I think the best example is actually something that's happening. Shenmue 3.
Right.
It's a Kickstarter. Everyone says they want it. It's a successful Kickstarter.
Right.
It's going to... I bet you anything when that game comes out, it's going to sell just as well as Shenmue 1 and 2. And for the people who love the game, and I'm not saying it's a bad game because I love those games too,
yeah.
that's great. But for the people who actually, you know, who are in... The reason they have to kickstart Shenmue 3 is because those games lost shit tons of money.
Yeah.
They cost about 4 to 5 times more than the money they made back by selling the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it on one hand, you know, people are like, "Yay, we got our Shenmue 3," but on the other hand, it's like, well, the reason you weren't going to get one is because it didn't sell.
Right. So that's I think that's I feel like just right now and thinking about it, what you were saying, Amanda, is that, you know, you could put up a poll saying, hey, who wants a new Shenmue game? And everybody's going to go and click on it and say yes, right? Because it doesn't cost you anything to do it. I think that the nice thing about crowdfunding is it really does make you put your money where your mouth is by saying that, like, you got to donate, you've got to buy a stake in this if you want it. On the other hand, you make a perfectly good point about Sony can fund Shenmue 3 by themselves if that's what they want to do, and they feel that there's enough interest in it.
Well, my concern is more that it starts with the smaller games, the ones that might not have been successful the first time around, but they could easily do it with slightly bigger games and games they don't need to do it with, which is where my concern is. I'm not worried about like Shenmue 3 that I can't say the name of because I never played the game.
Yeah.
Because you know, I get it. I understand that it's a game that maybe not a lot of people liked. It didn't sell enough to warrant a third game, but they're generated enough money and interest that it's paid for itself for the people that already want it and have already paid for it. It's like practically pre-ordering. That's fine. But when you start doing it with slightly more popular games that they could develop on their own and there will be interest in it, but they're still asking for money from people. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's just a slippery slope
absolutely
for that they could start holding games hostage, basically.
I understand what you're saying. I think that what it probably comes down to for me is if it's a process that's used to see if there's interest in something that is off the radar or an older game to reboot or something that never got finished or whatever, I think that's fine if they ever come out and say, we're kickstarting the new Battlefield game.
Right.
Then that's kind of go fuck yourself because you know that those games are going to sell well enough. Or, you know, the new Call of Duty, right? You know, it's going to sell well enough. On the other hand, I think that using it as an interest gauge, it seems like so far it's been a really effective tool to see what are people actually interested in.
And I also feel they need to be much more open about where that money's going.
Yeah.
Like, if they're going to buy, especially a company that can't afford to pay for everything, they need to tell you where that money is going. Because if, you know, because wasn't the Kickstarter for Shenmue 3 dealing with that, where it was very, like,
A little bit. Like, it wasn't what... I mean, a lot of people thought that Sony was... because Sony had some stake in it, that Sony was going to get some of the Kickstarter money. There was a lot of speculation and rumors about that. And they came out and said, no, Sony does not get any of the money. The 100% of this game goes... or money from the Kickstarter goes to Shenmue 3 and Ys Net.
Right. Well, last week they came out and said that they're kicking in...
Well, yeah, Sony finally came out and said, no, we're actually giving them a large sum of money because we want to see the game too.
Right.
But but they all...
Right, but how long did they keep that secret? How much money How much money did they earn before anyone said, "Oh, by the way, there is actual money already going to this project"?
I think it was like $2.5, $3 million, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, I feel like that's a little unhonest.
And they even said that there's that Sony is not the only investor.
Well, okay.
So
to your point, though, I feel that I know that when John and I talked about this originally, that you definitely wanted to know, like, if Sony was going to be kicking in, because that's the thing that happens all the time in Kickstarter, right? Is they want to make sure that you can get like $1 million on your own, and then if you can get $1 million, then they're going to kick in 10 from the other side, right?
Yeah.
But I almost feel like that there's maybe an element there of just trying to manage PR and goodwill about not disclosing that ahead of time, because if the Kickstarter, say, is $500,000 short, and Sony's lined up to put in $20 million if they hit their $2 million Kickstarter, that you're going to get people who then get incredibly pissed off at Sony about, like, look, you were going to give them $20 million. Why don't you just finish out the Kickstarter? When the whole reason for the Kickstarter was to gauge public interest, not necessarily to raise.
Right, but I feel like if you're honest about it, that would help, as opposed to hiding whether you're actually getting other money. And then when you pass your goal going, but more would always help, more would be better, give us some more money, because they definitely did that.
I don't know. I feel like that...
And then to find out that Sony has some money pitched in, they have other backers with money pitched in, then why are you asking for more money?
Yeah.
Because now you know the interest is there.
Yeah.
So it's not about generating interest, it's about generating cash flow.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the whole thing, I think, is weird. It's so easy to see both sides of this.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you on that completely. Also, thinking about it, Sony's not the only major company that's getting into crowdfunding. Square.
Oh yeah,
has their Square Partners program thing.
Was that a crowdfunding?
Square Enix. Yeah, they actually, like, a lot of those games are like, I get emails from Square all the time. Basically like, hey, here's this new Kickstarter thing that we're launching or that we're helping to launch.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Like, they've gotten like 2 or 3 games through there.
I deleted those emails.
Yeah, no, I delete them now, but because I'm just like, I was like, I hate signing up for that mailing list on that one game.
Yeah, I guess it's just to me it's interesting because it seems like as Kickstarter becomes a more and more viable option for video games, that the logical next step is basically for larger companies to start using it as an interest gauge instead of a full on. Which, again, it's got so many problems where it could be abused.
Here's where my worry is that the thing about Kickstarter, for example, and I don't know what this is, this First Flight thing, because I don't have any experience with it. I haven't read what the whole deal with it is. But in regards to Kickstarter, the project may never actually come out.
Yeah.
Like, that is a risk.
Yeah.
Like, you can 100% fund it, they run out of money.
Oh, yeah.
Matter of fact, Double Fine, for example, was very clear early on that there was a possibility at one point that game was not going to get released.
Yeah, there was
because
a reason
they
it got
blew
split
through
into
their
two
funding.
different-
And that's one of the reasons I like the way they did it, which is when they pitched it, they said, hey, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make this game, and we're also going to make a documentary, and you're going to see everything. So if we end up failing and falling on our asses and it's our fault, you're going to know it's our fault.
Yeah.
And they were very clear with that and very transparent with that in those documentary videos. And I, like I said, that's a reason why I have no problem with what Double Fine did.
You know, I would actually be willing to. I would actually say that I would fully and 100% endorse any company doing a Kickstarter if we held them to task to say that if you give them your money, you get weekly emails basically describing the entire production process, like you're saying. Maybe not, not a documentary or whatever, but there's going to be somebody who's hired on who's going to keep you up to the date with, like, maybe even you don't even want to know these nitty-gritty details. That way you can see if stuff happens. I would be willing to prepay for a bunch of different games just to have more insight into what the fuck goes on at these companies. Like, I've talked to a bunch of people over the year or over the last couple months who are just like, do you think we'll ever know what happened with Konami and Kojima? And I'm like, probably not.
Yeah, no.
There's no reason for any of them to tell us. I mean, Kojima's probably under a bunch of NDAs, and there's no reason for Konami to tell that story.
Yeah.
And any insider, as we talked before in this podcast, anybody who's on the inside of that who blabs their mouth is going to be immediately fired and essentially blacklisted from like ever getting talked to again.
Yeah.
So
I would recommend watching those Double Fine videos, though. They're really good and about the happenings behind the scenes at Double Fine, and they're like I've pimped it out on this thing before. They're for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's fucking fascinating.
Cool. Oh shit, we got to speed it up a little bit.
Okay.
Sorry, that was a big discussion. Next up. So Reggie Fils-Aimé did an interview with Mashable, where he talks about the fact that Nintendo knows people are not happy about the Metroid. What's it called again?
Metroid Prime
Federation Force.
Federation Force.
Apparently, the video. Let's see. There was a stats on one of these blogs where it was like the video has just like. It's got like something like 960 or upvotes and like 96,000 down thumbs or something. The trailer on YouTube. So he had a nice quote in this interview where he says, "How mad are fans? The trailer has about 7,000 likes, but about 69,000 dislikes." And his quote was, "Well, what the fan at home saw was something in the Metroid Prime universe that they weren't expecting. The reaction has been negative. There's no sugarcoating it." And he says, "This is an example where fans who aren't able to get their hands on the game may be at a bit of a competitive disadvantage. Everyone who has played what we are showing regarding Metroid Prime, they've come across really pleased." He said, my ask is that fans trust us." Do you guys?
How does he gauge interest without having people blow money at?
That's a good question. I would
send
say
money right their way.
96,000 downvotes on YouTube.
Well, downvotes don't mean anything. That's not money.
They're not putting their money up.
That's true. That's very true. That's very true.
Or not putting their money up.
They're like, you owe us, Nintendo, for making us watch that trailer.
As somebody who does stuff on YouTube and actually kind of pays attention to some of that stuff, I could say that it's not often that I see good things that have... Oh, no, that's not true. That have more overriding downvotes than upvotes was what I was originally going to say. But, John Oliver put Anita Sarkeesian on his show for like 1 second and then like 54% down thumbs or whatever. But I don't know. I thought this was great because I like the fact that unlike most companies, well, maybe not unlike most companies, but I just appreciate Reggie coming out and being like,
it seems like you guys don't like it.
Yep, seems like you guys really don't like that, but you're just going to have to go with me on this one.
He's saying, trust us. If you try it out, and you'll probably like it, which I'm sure if they have some sort of demo for the 3DS, that's what he's hoping, that they'll try it out and like it.
Yeah,
but ultimately,
demos. That's weird.
But again, like I've said when people were first bitching about this, I think I mentioned it when we talked about the E3 press conference or the Direct or whatever. Right. I said, when it comes out, if you're not happy with it, don't fucking buy it.
Well, there is that. There was always that.
And then guess what? Nintendo will go, well, we fucked the pooch on that one.
Yep. Let's make another Metroid game.
Reggie will be like, my puppet body was not ready that time.
I don't understand how a company like Nintendo that is so steeped in remaking their franchises over and over and over again with very little change, okay? Like Yoshi's woolly yarn bullshit, whatever that is essentially the Yoshi game, right?
Yeah.
And Kirby's Epic Yarn that you and I, Amanda, played was essentially just that Kirby game from not Epic Yarn, the one that came after that. Right?
Oh, the Canvas Curse.
No,
that
Rainbow.
was the one that was
that's
on
a 3DS one,
yeah.
right? And this one was
anyway,
Rainbow something.
Rainbow Bright, yeah, whatever.
Rainbow Connection. No, wait, that's Kermit.
Whatever it was. it was basically the same as that DS game from a long time ago, right? They just remade it.
Yeah.
The new Star Fox, and I mean, I didn't play Star Fox in the N64.
Looks like Star Fox 64.
It looks a lot like a Star Fox game. Why the hell can we not get... If they're just going to remake that new Zelda game, looks like... Well, it's got some different stuff in it, but it's a Zelda game, right? Why does Metroid have to get punched in the balls with some spin-off bullshit esports
I'm
3DS
confused.
game?
So are you mad that they're doing things that are basically remakes of the old stuff,
Yes.
or are you mad that they're doing things different from the old stuff?
What I'm saying is that if it was
Because
up
I
to
feel
me,
like it's a no-win situation.
what I'm saying is that in general, 80% of the time, I'm mad at them for just remaking their old games over and over again, right? But if that's what they're going to do, why did they pick this one property to not do it with?
I can actually answer that.
Oh, can you?
Metroid Prime sold like shit.
Oh, okay.
And they went, okay, let's try something new.
Okay.
Because here's the thing: one of the things I will say about Nintendo, when they try something and it doesn't do well, they go back to the drawing board with it, and they try something new with it.
If Metroid Prime didn't do well, can you just make some more of them side-scrolling Metroid games?
I actually agree with you on that one. I kind of wish they would go back to the side-scrolling Metroid, but
Nintendo does a good side-scrolling game. I've played a bunch of them, and they're pretty goddamn good at them.
I agree with you on that one.
So,
but I'm just saying, Amanda has a point, though.
This one will be bad, and then you can...
It'll take 10 years to get another one.
You'll still be alive
Also,
in theory. It's fine.
I think I remember. I don't know.
I eat at gyms a lot, okay?
Yeah.
I drink a lot of Lone Star, eat a lot of gyms, and I still smoke. So.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, I had read somewhere, and I don't remember where I read this, so take it with a grain of salt. My brain might have made it up in my sleep.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I read somewhere that someone said that this game, this Federation Force, is a precursor for like a legit Metroid Prime game.
Great.
That this is just something that they're getting out now while they're putting the final touch or starting work on the next Metroid Prime game.
I mean, you know what? I want to ask this to you guys and to the audience at the same time. Personally speaking, I mean, I played Metroid Prime 1. I never finished 2, and I don't want to Wii Nunchuck the third one, so I just never played it. I'd rather see side-scrolling Metroid than Prime Metroid. I'd rather see side-scrolling than first-person Metroid.
I agree with you.
Nothing wrong with first-person Metroid. It was an okay game, but I'd just rather see side-scrolling. Amanda, do you have a preference?
I've never even played Prime. I've only played with the side.
And I haven't played.
I love side-scrolling games. So.
Other M, but everybody hates that shit. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I'll say as far as Metroid Prime games, the problem with the Metroid Prime games is the first game nails what it would be like to play a Metroid game in a first-person's perspective.
Sure.
And then the second and third one are pretty much the exact same game, over and over again.
I never finished the second one. There was some new stuff, but not enough new to really change it around.
Having said that, they were made by a local Austin, Texas company, so there's that.
Yeah. You know what I want to see? You want to see on the Wii U? I want to see Metroid Fusion 2, because Fusion was the only Metroid game that I feel like I've played that had some crazy fucking ideas about what was going to happen. Because she had the X suit instead of her normal suit, right? And so like the missiles were all ice missiles, and just doing things a little bit differently than when they were originally.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Moving on.
Next up, this is just a real fast thing, and I thought it was really interesting. Apparently, the last Fire Emblem game on the 3DS was supposed to be the last Fire Emblem game that Intelligent Systems has made.
It's going to be the last Fire Emblem?
So in other words, it's a Final Fantasy situation.
Well,
where the original Final Fantasy was supposed to be the last RPG that company made, and it did so well, they went, fuck it, let's turn it into a franchise!
Well, it's funny because apparently, like, one of the reasons that the game came out so well in this interview that with Iwata was that the guy who was developing it was like, we put everything that we always wanted to do into this Fire Emblem game because we thought it was going to be our last one. And so apparently when they started up with this new Fire Emblem, they were like, Nintendo was like, we want you to make another Fire Emblem. That one sold really well because it's the best-selling Fire Emblem outside of Japan.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we used up all our ideas. So apparently in the very first Fire Emblem, which I haven't played, there's a part where at the beginning you after you get control, you can go to one of two different villages. And initially their idea had been to then split the storyline into two storylines, but the NES didn't have, or the Famicom didn't have the memory space for it, so they decided against it. And so that's why this one is shaping up to have these two fully different storylines.
I like that.
So do I. I mean, I love the idea of an RPG. I think it would be cool if there was a bunch of like Final Fantasies where you could go back and play through as the villain side.
Yeah. so you can see that not everything is black and white. There's not a good and evil. There's good on both sides, and bad on both sides.
Yep. And I like the idea that apparently the light side, so to speak, is like a traditional JRPG, and the dark side is a lot more nuanced and weird. And
cool.
Crazy. So, yep.
Neat.
Good stuff. All right, next up. Okay, so this week we also got the announcement of a little game called Allison Road, which is the spiritual successor-ish. It's an indie game being made by somebody who saw the PT demo and was like, I want to make a game like that.
I could add more than just a hallway.
That's right.
I can have a whole kitchen.
Now, John, have you watched the trailer for this?
I have not. I've heard about it. I know a little bit about it. It's a guy in the UK, and then originally it was just him by himself making it, and then now it's a team of like 3 people.
Yep.
And it uses a lot of similar tricks as PT because it is inspired.
The only thing that kind of the only thing, I mean, in watching it, the only thing that I thought was a little that was a little bit. It looks good.
Yeah, it looks good.
You wander
I'm looking
around,
at
pick
it.
Stuff up. It's very atmospheric. It's got this kind of like things are slightly wrong and there's weird stuff. You're kind of confined to this house or whatever. The gameplay mechanic of the hall in PT repeating was really interesting because it meant that you never knew when you were going to open up that door what was going to be on the other side of it for you, right? Especially if you haven't played, I'm going to spoil PT because people can't even download it anymore, but like, especially when they get you into that place where the hall never ends, where you're just going in a loop, right?
Yeah.
And like, so they did some really interesting stuff with that. And this trailer definitely has kind of the look of PT with this kind of like hyper realistic house you could just pick stuff up and look at in. But I wonder, like, the thing is that there was so much creativity in that PT demo, and there was so much kind of like, how do I move forward puzzle solving? I wonder if this is going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
Because this just kind of goes like straight up, monster chasing you. There's even a part where the person goes into the bathroom and then like the lights turn off. I was pissed. There's no little fetus chicken baby. No chicken fetus baby in this entire bathroom.
Yeah. From what I heard, I heard the story of it and I was like, wait, are they remaking Gone Home? Because it was like you wake up in a house that is abandoned and you have no memory.
Right.
And you're looking through the house for your family.
Yeah.
And it's like, what why are you looking are you going to discover that your sister's gay
and dead?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of came off to me that like somebody played Gone Home and was like, it'd be an amazing scary game, and then made it a scary game, but threw in a hallway and was like, PT, you guys know PT.
I mean, this seems like it's Unreal Engine 4 as well, right?
Yeah, it looks good. Like,
it
just
looks really, really good.
I was upset at the sound design.
Why?
Because there wasn't any. It's like real. I mean, the guy talks to himself and like he goes to the bathroom and there's knocking on the door. It's kind of creepy. You get a little ominous music.
Yeah.
But like there's a monster at some point and doesn't even make a noise.
And
it does like a shimmy shimmy.
There was a thing. We just saw the monster.
And it did the little shimmy shimmy.
Shimmy shake. There was also another description of it. I haven't looked into this much outside of just watching a bunch of the footage. They said that they wanted it to kind of be like Five Nights at Freddy's, where you have to survive each night in turn and kind of use the house to get away from this.
This is like mashup of several different games.
Monster demon
basically.
thing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looks pretty good. I'll play it. I mean, I feel like a lot of times I labor under the assumption that people who are fans of horror video games are like people who are fans of horror movies, and that they will put up with a lot that you can't get away with in some of the mainstream. But this looks good. We'll play it when it comes out. Whatever. I highly recommend anybody who's a fan go and watch the 13-minute walking around this apartment.
And they did
video.
say this is like a alpha or beta version of the game. Like
this
was
like a demo, like a playable trailer.
Kind of, yeah. So I mean, it's one of those things where they're like, this is not indicative of the final product. This is. Things are going to change. We're not done. There's a lot of stuff that's not here. I would assume probably some sounds.
Yeah.
Some sound designs probably
I would
not
hope
there.
so. I mean, it felt like they were relying on the music, which to me is not as scary as relying on actual sound of the room, the sound of things happening.
Right.
They were relying very heavily on like piano is very scary when you're in like dark rooms, and it's like, well, yeah, but you know what's really scary is not having that and having the sound of somebody getting up from the floor, the sound of a door opening and closing when you're not there, the sound of all that is really what's scary.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm interested in it. I actually think that's I think the fact that someone is doing this is actually brilliant.
Yeah. No, I think it's good.
I think it's something someone should do, and I'm glad someone is taking advantage of the.
I think it's a terrible idea, and I'm very mad at this person.
It apparently is going to have VR support as well. So,
Fuck
so
that.
you're happy.
I'm going to put Kayla in.
Oh no! I don't want to be anywhere in that room.
You have to hold her hand the entire time.
No.
And then you let go, and then somebody else holds her hand, and she won't know that it's been switched.
All right, we got to start moving a little bit faster here because we're already at an hour. Apparently, Steam has changed some of their policies to that they are not going to. They're not going to have any protection from getting scammed on their trade deals anymore.
Huh.
I don't exactly understand why this is. Maybe somebody in the comments can explain it to me. Basically, on the Steam page, it says, our community assigns an item a value that is at least partially determined by that item's scarcity. If more copies of the item are added to the economy through inventory rollbacks, the value of every other instance of that item would be reduced. We sympathize with people who fall victim to scams, but we provide enough information on our website and within our trading system to help users make good trading decisions. All trade scams can be avoided. Basically putting it all on the person who got scammed and kind of accepting none of the responsibility on their own. Now, considering the fact that like they're showing on this news story that we're looking at a knife from Counter-Strike Go that sells for $400, and Steam gets a piece of every trade and transaction that goes through.
Yeah.
Right.
So I wonder, it just seems like a weird thing for Steam to just kind of wash their hands of. I mean, I'm sure it's a pain in the ass for Valve to have to look into all this bullshit and figure out what a scam is and what it is and try to ban people who are scam. I mean, they even say in their FAQ that they're still going to ban scammers as they find them, but they basically are just saying that like you need to do your research before you make a trade or buy something for real money. And don't come crying to us. And I don't know. Maybe they just have a huge influx of people who basically are just getting overcharged, who then have buyer's remorse where they buy something for $200 and then find out that somebody else was selling it for $50.
As somebody who has been a moderator and in a very large community and been one of the precious few moderators in a very large community, I can tell you that if you throw out a word like scam, everyone will all of a sudden have been scammed and want their refunds and want their and I imagine Steam is a much bigger place than where I was working, so that is definitely probably a factor that they cannot possibly support the manpower it would take to investigate every single person that has buyer's remorse that paid slightly more than they felt they should. I don't think it's worth it.
Okay, I mean, I guess I just wonder. There seems to be. I mean,
that itself could be a scam.
There are. Yeah, this could be a scam. Website's a scam.
No, but claiming you got scammed,
right.
And then if they refund your money but let you keep the item, or if they do anything like that, that itself can be its own scam. If they just were okay, well you got scammed, so let's reimburse you or whatever.
Don't you think that they accept a certain amount of responsibility by taking a cut of this stuff? That it's it's one thing to get. It's one thing to get scammed on the internet, right? I mean, I got an email today that was like, your PayPal account has been suspended. And it was like, haha, yeah, right. That came to the mail at RageSelect.com email address where I'm just constantly getting erection enhancing emails all day, every day, once an hour.
Oh, those aren't a scam.
Oh, those aren't a scam.
No, those you should totally reply to those.
I feel like they've got some responsibility.
Damocles had to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
That's right.
Look, I've sent you. I mean, someone has sent you those emails for a reason.
Respond to every one of them. Why do you think we need to have a fundraiser? No, I'm just kidding. But I think that Valve, they accept a certain amount of responsibility for this in the fact that they've got a big open marketplace thing, right?
Right.
I mean, I find it a little bit. Sometimes Valve does stuff where I'm just like, I love you, Valve, but just washing your hands clean and going like, caveat emptor and go fuck yourself.
I don't think it's completely irresponsible of them to say you are a consumer.
Yeah.
You need to be a smart consumer.
Right.
Maybe don't just throw your money willy-nilly and then get mad when somebody scammed you on it.
Yeah, on the other hand, I think
because if you're paying $400 for a knife in a game, maybe you should be looking into it a little more than just throwing the $400 and going, oh, you know what? I think I might have been scammed.
Yep.
Like that's.
I again, it's easy to see from both sides. I guess what I just come down to is the fact that the scams on the internet have become very sophisticated over the years, and I think that if Valve wants people to use their service, and if they're fully going to be in. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, for me, I would. I come at it from a largely different standpoint of like, I'm not going to spend 6 hours making sure that this person's legit. I'm just not going to give anybody any money.
Right.
I'm going to take my $400 to Taco Bell and get $400 worth of those grilled stuffed nachos.
That sounds amazing. Not the grilled stuffed nachos, but taking $400 to Taco Bell and buying like 400 tacos.
You know what? I wonder what happened if you went up to Taco Bell with like $400 and they're like, welcome to Taco Bell. What can I get you? It's like, everything. What do you mean? I want like one of everything on the menu. And be an ass, go through the drive-thru to do that.
Jesus.
That's like a hate crime.
And a Diet Coke.
Because I'm watching my figure.
I'm watching my weight.
I want one of every drink and one of every
I don't do
thing.
liquid calories, okay?
I don't know. I kind of feel that...
Well, here's actually a question I have.
Yeah.
I wonder if the same people who investigates these scams and stuff like that are the same people who also have to deal with people asking for the Steam refunds. And if it's less of a well, people should be more and more of a well, we've got 4 times the workload now. How can we eliminate some of that? Well, we can't stop doing Steam game refunds.
Right.
You know what? This is on this thing. We feel that people are abusing it, or people are too stupid. Fuck it. We're not going to deal with this anymore.
That makes a certain amount of sense. Yeah.
Because this happened how long after Steam refunds?
Like a month, maybe?
And like I said,
enough time for them to be like, fires, too much going on.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. Just, well...
That is a sweet knife. Can I borrow $400?
Nope. Not for the Stat Track Carambit case hard.
I love the Carambit.
Okay, whatever.
I'm all about Carambit.
Hey, guess what? There's going to be a Mafia 3.
Oh, shit.
Yep. Well, at least probably.
Maybe.
Take-Two registered, apparently. Okay, what did they register? It was Mafia3thegame.com, Mafia thegame.com, Mafia THREE.com, and Mafia THREE thegame.com. And apparently, usually Take-Two does this through a proxy, but apparently whoever did it this time, did it under Take-Two's name, and then it's now been changed over to a proxy or something like that.
You don't know that they're making Mafia 3.
Yeah,
that none of that
Those
suggests.
could all turn into porn sites in any day now.
Yeah.
Take-Two's just going to become... That's nothing. They're just moving into pornography at this point. They're like, Grand Theft Auto.
What do you think the name behind Take-Two is?
What was that?
What do you think the reason behind the name Take-Two is?
Oh, there you go. There you go. Mafia 3.
Take 3's the money shot.
Yep.
Yeesh.
Anyway, video games?
Hey, Mafia 3. Who's interested?
I'll play it, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eh.
Okay, I'm about the same as you two.
Yeah.
Great. Mafia 3 is getting...
I don't think I ever played the first Mafia, and I think I played and beat Mafia 2. I vaguely remember it.
I played some of it. That was one where the big controversy was the nudie mags, right? They
was
had,
it?
Playboys.
Was that the one that started off in the war, and then you
I don't know.
and you come back and you're like a soldier who comes back and you work your way through the... Or am I thinking of something else?
I think I played a little bit of Mafia 2, and I remember it was like kind of an open world game, right?
Yeah.
All of them were, right? But it was an open world game, except there was like nobody out on the streets.
Yeah.
There was like
Empty world.
2 cars and 4 people in the entire town who were driving around.
Yeah.
I remember Mafia 1 was for shit, because if you sped, then you would get pulled over and get a ticket. And you were driving, this was like the 1920s, so the speed limit was like 35 miles per hour. You're just like,
awesome.
I need to get to the mass shooting, all right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure that's really fantastic news for somebody.
Neat.
The Pip-Boy Okay, so you remember Fallout 4 is coming with that collector's edition Pip-Boy thing?
Yeah, no one can get it because it sold out already for a pre-order, and then they released some more, and then that sold out as a pre-order.
Ooh,
someone
salty.
sounds a little. Of all the flavors in the world,
I
why
just-
would you choose salty, John?
Right.
Yeah, I have an issue with something that's not even out yet being sold out. It's like, they make fucking more.
Yeah.
And they will.
Probably not. They said that they kind of implied that they're done. They're not doing anymore.
Well, you know, just any fans of the show, when you get done with your when you've got it all lacquered up with your wrist sweat and your body
I don't
funk,
want used Pip-Boy.
Send it to John. Give
I don't
John a
want your
used Pip-Boy.
I don't want your used Pip-Boy.
Well, I don't know if you saw this, but apparently last week there was a story that went out that was like the iPhone 6 Plus is too big for the Pip-Boy. Also, the Galaxy S6, I believe, is too big.
I'm sure my
for it.
phone is probably also too big for it.
I think that they said that mine, I've got like a Galaxy S5. I think they said S4 and S5s are still big enough. But I think that shows a woefully stupid short-sightedness of not making, like, for the people who are going to be spending premium boutique money on huge-ass phones, about not making this thing to a spec that it can be adjusted to all size phones. But this is more of a public service announcement to the people of Rage Select that if any of you have bought the collector's edition already and you've got a phone that's too big for it, email John Sitton because he will totes buy your used Pip-Boy. Just don't put it on your wrist first.
I'm going to be honest.
If
my
it's
phone's probably
used,
too
but
big.
it wasn't on the wrist, where did they put their Pip-Boy?
Good question.
I'm not buying that.
Our next story.
I might buy that.
So, Concept, this is Keiji Minafune's company, right?
Yeah,
It's making Mighty Number
Minafune's.
9.
Yeah.
They announced a trailer for a new game.
Man, they announced 2 new games.
Yeah. This one is called Red Ash. And there's not a lot to it. This trailer is basically just some
Still
dialogue
images.
and some still images, some concept art. But I think that the thing that everybody is currently thinking is that this is going to be a spiritual successor to Mega Man Legends, because in what was the story that I was reading? It said that in Japan was called Rockman Dash, and that this is Red Ash. So if you take the D and move it over, it is Re-Ash or Re-Dash. So I don't know. Looks great. I think that it's crazy that before Mighty Number 9's even out, that they're just like, yeah, fuck it, we're doing another thing.
And they also got Recore, which looked interesting.
I think that Recore is probably they're probably self-publishing this. I don't.
Yeah.
I
Oh, no, I think they are. Yeah, no, you're right.
But they're also working with what's this company? 4C Studio 4C.
Okay.
Which is an anime studio that worked on. I mean, they did a bunch of newer stuff that I'm not super familiar with, but they were like Spriggan and Steam Boy and stuff like that.
Spriggan and Steam Boy are actually pretty awesome.
Yeah. There's a few things that they did that I looked at that I was like, I don't know, but
Actually, really like Spriggan.
me too.
It's a good movie.
Doesn't ever get the attention it should. But yeah, this is interesting, and I think that for the people, I love the shift of famous game developers who've made some of the games that we absolutely love, who can't get their game made by the company that owns the IP, just going like, well, then fuck you. I'm gonna make the knockoff of my own IP and make the game that I want to. I love it as a concept. I think it's great.
A concept?
Yep.
Yep.
I want to quit the show.
Next up, there was a trailer that came out of E3. This is one that we
Don't you ignore my quitting. I'm
Sorry. You'll be back. For Bombshell. Now, I don't know if people remember what Bombshell was. Bombshell was this 3D Realms game where they had this trailer that there was this woman with a cyber arm loading a gun and getting on a motorcycle and driving away, and it was like a 5-minute trailer, and it was terrible.
This looks like a girl Duke Nukem Forever.
Yes, that is exactly what people were saying. Well, they actually have a gameplay trailer that came out of E3, and it looks like a kind of Diablo-esque, or just a top-down kind of action shooter, and it looks bananas. There's
I want to play this.
demons, and like she's got this gun that's got 1,000,000 bullets, and it's got 3 barrels on it.
Holy shit.
And there's like explosions and cyborgs and shit's blowing up. And in spite of all of it, There's some, and if I turn up the audio, you guys would be able to hear the really stupid dialogue that's coming through.
I was really hoping we'd hear some like heavy metal playing.
It's heavy metal and really stupid dialogue.
Nice.
And this is the trailer that they should have shown originally because that original trailer was garbage. Do either one of you remember the trailer that I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't remember the trailer.
Were they just like sexy girl, sexy gun?
It was
girl and gun.
Yeah, it was real.
Playboy QuickCon 2015.
It was real dumb. It was this is the original one. It's like a 3-minute trailer, and it's just all this voiceover, and it's just this lady, and she's like drinking whiskey, and she's got a cyber arm, and then she loads a gun. She gets on a motorcycle. Whole thing takes way too long. Looks stupid.
Yeah.
The gameplay looks absolutely.
Oh my
fantastic.
God! Do not show Anita Sarkeesian in this trailer, for fuck's sake.
I don't know. That might have already happened, but
I'm sure it happened. I'm sure she complained about it on Twitter.
I just skip forward 2 minutes, and we're just seeing kind of the exact same stuff. But
The side of her head shaved.
Yep.
That's different than what it was in the gameplay.
then she then she drives a motorcycle.
It's very clear they changed the character design
Yeah, I don't know.
because she's also more clothed in the trailer as
Maybe
well.
she got cold.
This is true.
That's how you get horrible road rash on your tummy.
Is by wearing a
Wearing a
Open midriff.
bra and then driving on a Harley.
Yeah, I think, but no, I think the actual gameplay trailer for this looks really fun.
Yeah, it looks fun. I totally want to play
If
that.
it's $20 or less, I will totes play it. All right, we got 2 more stories before we're done.
All right.
I had to save the ridiculous / awesome stories for the very end. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, but it's also pretty fantastic. They're making some Thomas Was Alone action figures for the 3-year anniversary of Thomas Was Alone. Now, anybody who's played Thomas Was Alone, the characters, I use quotey fingers when I say that in Thomas Was Alone, are polygons. Like,
Nice.
not just polygons, but like squares and
Rectangles.
Rectangles only. So yeah, for $31.47 US, you can get Thomas, Claire, Chris, and John. And apparently, just like in the game, the Claire figure, who is the big blue box, actually does float in water, which is a nice little touch. But seriously, this is just freaking ridiculous.
It's ridiculously awesome.
Yeah.
But awesome. Yeah, I can only imagine somebody putting this shit on their desk and then, like, nobody knows what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Did you guys play Thomas Was Alone?
Once.
Yeah. I never beat it.
Yeah.
No?
No, sir.
Looking forward to his next game.
Yeah, really fun
But the
game.
graphics look amazing.
It's a really fun game. It's basically a bunch of squares and rectangles jumping around, and you switch between them. Each one of them has a different power, and then it's got kind of like a Stanley Parable narrator talking about what's going on over the top of it. It's a pretty cute game. And last but not least, this is awesome news, John, specifically for me, but you know why. So you remember in at E3, Rebellion announced that they were making a new Battlezone game for VR.
Yes.
Remember that?
And you were very upset.
And I was very upset. I was very upset that they were making some dog shit piece of garbage arcade action Battlezone when there was an awesome 1998 Cold War Soviet Americans versus Russia Battlezone franchise that they totally could have been remaking instead.
Are they remaking it? Is
They
that
are
a
remaking
surprise?
it. Yes.
Good.
They are remastering the 1998 Battlezone into a game.
This is literally like the Here Shut the Fuck Up release.
Yeah, it's literally they heard our little podcast and they're like, God damn it. Do we have the rights to that? Can we just HDify it and re-release it? We can't. Okay, just do it. Get this guy to shut up.
You know what? I actually went out on the internet. It turns out that there's a website where you can download Battlezone 1998
Yeah.
and just install it and play it. I'm glad they're remastering it because it doesn't exactly work as well as it probably should. But
Nothing does since 1998.
it's mostly just the fact that when you put it at like 1600 by 1200, all of the UI elements are too small to read or even do. I loaded it up, tried to do the first mission, failed within about 10 minutes, and was like, all right, Kerbal Space Program, let's go back to the good stuff.
Is that your happy place?
Kerbal Space Program is the bomb. But it's time to take a break because we've got questions to answer, and I'm probably going to have to cut a few of them out because we're already a little bit over time. But
Just a touch over time.
at RageSelect.com is the email address. We'll be back in just a moment, so stay tuned. And we are back. Hey, before we get started on these questions, I need to take a little poll with you guys.
Okay.
So there's been a big thing on the internet.
No, I have no attraction to you.
Oh, come on, man. I keep sending you all
Even
these
with the
chocolates.
shaved head.
Oh, come on. All right, fine.
Stop sending me dick pics.
That's my head, dude. It's just the top of my head.
Oh.
That's a weird angle you're taking that picture from. If he thinks it's a dick pic.
That's right. No, have you guys seen this thing about this whole, like, the entire internet? I don't know anybody who's pro this. New York Times, like, put peas in your guacamole bullshit. Have you guys seen this?
No.
New York Times apparently, like, they had a recipe for guacamole they put online where it's like guacamole with a bunch of peas and, like, sunflower seeds or something in it. And they're like, trust us. And everybody's just like, go fuck yourself. Nobody puts peas in guacamole on my watch.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
I mean, does that sound good to anybody? I'm not a big fan of peas. So.
I don't eat guacamole, so.
Oh, son of a bitch.
I love guacamole.
She loves guacamole.
Avocados are my favorite food.
Okay. What do you think about that?
I would be willing to try it.
Okay.
But that sounds stupid.
Okay.
Like if somebody was like, hey, you know what we should do? Maybe throw these peas in there. I'd be like, get out of my kitchen. But if I went to a restaurant and I ordered guacamole and then it turned out they had peas, I wouldn't like...
You would taste it before immediately throwing it on the ground.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then
yeah.
Right, okay.
It sounds like this is something that someone who was really really broke and they were like, I need to fix me somebody. What do I have? I have guacamole. Okay, cool. And peas.
Peas are green. That works.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how this goes. Because I've been there. I remember those days back when I'd be like, all right, I need to eat something.
Honey Nut Cheerios and ramen? It could work.
That could work.
Ramen, okay,
You're
ramen.
eating raw
Eggs,
ramen.
okay.
No.
With like the powder just sprinkled on top instead of cooking it.
No.
Yeah, we used to
Hot
do
water
that all
costs
the time.
nothing.
I know.
Stir fry the ramen.
Yeah.
You know, get some strips of chicken and then use the packets as seasoning for the chicken, and then you stir fry that or you grill that or whatever, and then
No, I'm talking
eggs.
about just eating it. Just
also get
up.
like eggs, scrambled
Square
eggs,
in
mix them
mouth.
all together.
Crush up the ramen.
It's really
and
good.
You just do a solid line of it. You'll be
of that.
great.
MSG
It'll be
straight to the vein.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Peas in your guacamole.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, and you said like sunflower seeds too. That sounds like some straight white people shit. That sounds like white people going, "We fixed your guacamole for you."
That's right. Let's see if I can find you a picture of this.
We fixed your guacamole for you.
Is this the picture? No.
Like how controversial it is.
Like they have, they went on Twitter and there was like a whole
professional chef made us guacamole.
Then they had like a whole other. So this is the picture,
those are like
I think.
straight up peas.
Like peas and sunflower seeds, just like not even crushed up in there or anything. Just like bam.
I would try it.
Yeah.
But it looks dumb.
I really like your assessment of white people trying to fix guacamole.
No, really. Who like what person is like, all right, like I can accept throwing a little tomato in there.
Right,
Maybe you
sure.
want to throw in some
Maybe
like
lemon juice or
lemon
something?
juice,
Yeah,
a little jalapeno chopped up in there. You want a little spice.
A little garlic if you're into it.
Yeah, that's all fine. But then you're like peas and sunflowers and sunflower seeds. I can even accept.
Maybe.
Okay, but peas is a little weird.
That's a little much. It's a little much. I don't know that I want to be mixing. The avocado's already perfect as it is. Why fuck with it even that
It's the
much?
perfect food.
Yeah. Anyway, our first question. This is just a real quick one.
It doesn't look like a quick one, Jeff.
From Jason. Well, it doesn't have
It's from Jason.
A quick answer. Not that Jason.
Oh, okay.
Not that Jason either, and not that Jason either. So
we do know
one.
like 12 Jasons.
Yeah.
Do we?
And he writes in and says, hey guys, I saw that you were playing Arkham Knight on the PS4. However, I did not have time to watch the RAGECast. I'm playing on the Xbox One and was wondering if you were having the same problems I was. The Batmobile has horrible steering and handling. It frequently fishtails the slightest of movements and even will ragdoll and go flying across the screen. It has made the Riddle missions almost impossible. It can take me close to 2 hours to beat a single challenge. I'm currently stuck in the last one as it requires a lot of handling and timing, neither of which are happening. It has also made the Firefly and APC missions hard as well, and as I cannot stay on the street while driving. I've noticed the handling thing is not just locked to the Batmobile. It also affects Batman as well. He tends to overcompensate even the slightest nudge of the controller. I only have one friend who purchased this for the PS4, and he says he hasn't noticed any problems I speak of. Just thought I'd ask you as well. So I played it all the way through on the PS4. I did not have any of those problems.
I played it also on the PS4 and did not have any of those problems.
That's all I really wanted
I
to
played
go
it
over.
in my head.
Oh, yeah? Did you have those problems? Was it
yeah.
buggy as hell? Like
It's super like.
I mean, there's some bugs. I mean,
Right.
there's that one image, that one GIF that Amanda shared to me for some reason of a crook on the ground twerking.
oh my god, that was so
It was
Havoc
the weirdest.
Physics Engine
He was
never
like
fixed your shit. All right.
pelvic thrusting.
It was
on
just.
the
It was
floor.
like the rest of his body was completely inert except for his pelvic area, which was gyrating in
and
a
then
circular motion.
whoever was in control of that camera did a nice slow zoom.
Excellent. We also had another question about just kind of what we thought about Batman, but I'm just going to put that off in case unless we just run out of things to talk about, which I don't think is going to be a problem. So this next one comes in from Alan. Alan says, "Hey, Jeff and company, just wanted to throw some info about the HoloLens your way. Listen to Windows Weekly on the Twit network. They've been saying for a while that the HoloLens is as impressive as it is in demos with one major caveat. Since February, they have restricted the viewing area down to about the size of a mail slot." I don't know what that... I'm American. I don't know what that is. Apparently, they used to have a larger field of view on their original prototypes that they first demoed, but the new consumer version of the hardware had to shrink the field of view in order to get the machine self-contained. Original version with full field of view was tethered to an external power supply and maybe external CPU. It's a crappy trade-off. As a potential consumer, which would you prefer? Full field of view but tethered to a PC, or self-contained unit with noticeable field of view restriction? Sent from my iPhone, Alan. So is that, I can understand. I mean, the mail slot he's talking about would probably be like, what, 2 inches tall or something like that? That's what a mail slot, right? Like in England.
Well, it's a rectangular. It's like a rectangular field that's like just like over your eyes.
Like what Cyclops sees?
Yeah.
Okay, so just about Cyclops.
It's basically you, and to kind of give you, like, take a pair of glasses,
right,
and then put a piece of Scotch tape in the center of each lens,
right,
and that Scotch tape is what you're seeing,
right. Okay.
That is the only part that's HoloLens. So everything around the Scotch tape is normal view.
So if it's up on your wall and you move your head too far, it's just going to disappear.
Or if you're staring straight into the view, you're seeing it. But if you move your eye like a little bit to the left, you're just seeing regular world without the HoloLens.
Okay.
Basically, you're seeing a screen in front of you.
Yeah. Okay, no, that makes a certain amount of sense. I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you rather have a device that was full featured but had to be tethered, or something that was self-contained? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm planning on wearing my HoloLens to the club every Friday night so that I can watch Netflix while I twerk. That's just...
So wait, you're going to be on the stage? I don't want to go to that club.
Yeah, that's what it... No, you don't have to be on the stage to twerk. You can twerk wherever you want.
So, but you're one of the strippers, is what you're saying.
Not strippers. I didn't say strip club. I said the club.
Oh, okay.
Dance club.
Oh, okay.
John's
We
imagination.
tried that one time. It didn't end.
I was just saying, I don't want to go to that club.
I can't helicopter fast enough for the ladies, and they just get pissed off and then leave. So
all right.
That's what it is. No.
I have no answer to any of these questions now.
Sorry. I derailed your question.
As somebody who's not particularly interested in leaving the house with that thing on, and somebody who does most of their tech stuff in one room, I think I'd rather have it tethered, but that's just my experience so far. I'd rather have it tethered and full-featured for the first iteration, and then have the next iteration be cordless, rather than have the cordless first iteration that was limited.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to see the full scope of what they're trying to do, even if it means that I can't walk. I mean, make a big old cord that I gotta walk around behind me. Like, I don't really have a serious problem with that.
I'm gonna say I'm okay with it because I mean, from people who I've read reviews, listened to reviews on podcasts, they all are like, yeah, you do have that field of view issue,
right?
But they're like, however, even with that, it's still fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like, literally, that's everybody's reaction to it.
Excellent.
Like, that is, like, not a deal breaker. They're all saying that's not a deal breaker. I hope they fix it and make that field of view bigger, but it's not... But they're very clear that it's not a deal breaker for them.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like the sort of thing where if they put it out in that fashion, like, I'd still like to take a look at it, see how it works.
And I think if as a first iteration, if they have to deal with that to make what their vision of it is, that's fine. Because guess what? 2, 3, 4 iterations down the road, it's going to be what everyone wants it to be at that point.
Yeah,
I hope so. Yeah, I mean,
assuming it doesn't, tank like the Zune, which I still admit was a damn good
I
MP3
loved my
player.
Zune.
I can't necessarily get on board with the I love the Zune, but I can get on board with the iPod was a piece of shit.
Oh, no, it was.
The moment that all that shit became cheap and I could buy stuff from other companies, it was like great, wonderful. So I still remember the first MP3 player that I had was like the Sony one, and they wanted you to recode all of your MP3s to a proprietary format in order to make it work. And so I went out and got like a Creative Labs Zen 2 or something like that.
Wow.
Worked perfectly.
Yeah, Sony does that a lot.
Yeah.
Where they're like, we need you to use this proprietary format for everything.
Yeah. I think I still have my Zen 2 somewhere. I think it still works because it was just like an LED and it took AA batteries. So.
Yeah.
But no, I think that I would probably prefer that it be tethered because, again, I'm probably not going to leave the house with it on.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if it's, what do they got to do to make it work?
Yeah, I mean, also from like some of the stuff that I've heard, that's like some of like the demos and things where the type of movements you'd have to make for it, you don't want to be tethered. At all. Like, even if it's a really long tether, you don't want to be tethered.
Really?
You want to be able to walk wherever you want, whenever you want. Okay. Even if it's just within your house
Straight
walking.
into traffic.
Well, it's like, even if it's just within
I'm watching Netflix!
Well, it's like, even if you're within your house and you're just walking from your room to the bathroom, to another room, downstairs into the kitchen.
Right.
You want that freedom to do that.
Okay.
With whatever it is that you're doing with that. I mean, if you would have one of those.
Right.
I mean, otherwise, if you're not wanting to walk everywhere in your household, and I'm not even saying leaving the house, I'm just saying if you're not wanting to walk anywhere in the house and at work and not be tethered, then why the fuck do you want it?
Wait, say that again? What was
Well, it's like if you're not at least wanting to be able to walk anywhere in your house with it while wearing it without being tethered, then why would you even want it? Because then you might as well just get a VR headset, sit at your computer, put it on, and live with that. Who needs?
Well, I think I've got. I mean, I think I can see like the whole idea of AR of it interacting with the world that you're sitting in is really interesting. I still think that because of. I think there's a concept that we're still coming to when it comes to VR and AR and the HoloLens and stuff like that, which is the freedom of movement, right?
Okay.
Because right now, like if you want to play a video game, you're in a specific place where there's a TV. If you want to watch a movie or Netflix, you're in a, well, I guess outside of like tablets and stuff, but you're still chained to a device, right? So I don't know if my initial expectation is, I don't know if that full range of movement is necessarily what's selling me on that product more than the ability to interact with something that can work in an AR fashion.
Okay. I
mean, like, I think that sitting here at my desk, playing Minecraft on my desk, is just fine with me as long as, cord was be able to reach. But I don't know. I mean,
I feel like for the vast majority of people that it would be more about the
freedom of movement.
Freedom of movement.
Okay.
I think we live in a day and age where people have laptops and tablets and no PC because they don't want to be tied down to wherever they are.
That's a good point.
Laptops became too cumbersome and they made tablets laptops.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? We are
Surface
definitely
Pro.
Yeah, we are definitely in like the day and age where freedom of movement is really important, and you can take your desk anywhere. Basically, you can take your office wherever you go. Now they want this whole thing too is the same deal. I think is all meant for.
Well, it's also they've gotten to the point where it's like, fuck tablets. I'll just have a really big cell phone.
We are so really though. Honestly, that's exactly where I was going with it. Is that we are so in need to have everything we want, able to go wherever we want, that our phones are just jam packed with a bunch of shit now.
I think that I don't think I've ever made that transition because I spend working from home, and because of the limitations that there isn't really like I don't think a Surface Pro would be good for video editing and rendering. Right.
Yeah.
Like I need a full on desktop.
Right, but not everyone works from home. Not everyone does this kind of work.
Absolutely.
You're kind of an odd duck in that sense.
Absolutely.
And other senses, but mostly just this sense in particular.
It's my orange feet. I got the blue feet. That's what. No. No, I understand that, and I think that a lot of that, again, it just comes from. I don't think I've ever really made the transition into just like I should be able to take this shit wherever I want to.
Yeah, and that's really, I mean, as somebody who was working from home and then went back to working outside of my home, you all of a sudden understand the need to like, I want my books on my phone so I want my music on my phone so I can listen to it. I want to be able to play a game on my phone in case I have to sit there and wait while I'm at work or while I'm on my break or whatever.
Yeah.
So you get that a lot more when you're not like working from home and have your computer at your ready.
I mean,
all the
don't get me
time.
wrong. I'm looking forward to the day when I see somebody walking down the street with a HoloLens on.
Yeah.
Well,
That sounds amazing.
I also think the other thing is that this is not the need for it to be portable is also not a consumer thing.
Yeah.
It's a business thing. They want to sell that. Not only do they want to sell this to consumers, they want to sell this to companies so that they give them to employees while they're at work so that they can get up, go into a meeting, and suddenly there's this whole meeting thing that they can do in the center of the table that is like interactive or whatever it is that they do that everyone can look at, or walk into another room, and they want people to use it for business purposes too.
Okay.
Or education. You can do it in school.
Or as education, and they want they want people to be to be moving around, especially in this ergonomic age of business where offices they want you to stand at your desk or have treadmills on your desk.
That's horseshit, by the way. In my opinion, I don't like the standing at your desk thing. I think.
Yeah, I don't either. But I'm just saying, it's like that's a trend now, and this only adds to that.
Yeah, I just realized that the very first thing that I just had an idea for a game for the HoloLens that's going to be millions of dollars. I'll tell you guys off mic.
Okay, good.
Okay, good.
All right, our next question comes in from Danger Dave, who says, Professor Jeff and
Is that what it says?
Our next question comes in from Danger Dave, who says, Jeff and crew, hail fellows and well met. I'm writing to ask your advice on anger and forgiveness. I know, heavy shit, right? This week my car was broken into and vandalized, broken windshield, broken mirror, big mess everywhere. Generally nasty business. I live in an area with lots of clubs and bars, so it appears this was a random act of malicious drunken idiocy by some cruel passerby. I've reported it to the police and they are investigating, but it seems chances of apprehending the culprit are relatively slim. To be clear, this was not any car, but my secondary hobby/project car, a 1964 Ford Thunderbird, left to me by my late father, and it was left to him by his father. I have lavished it with several years of care and attention to bring it back to its glory. The cost and aggravation of fixing everything will be unpleasant to be sure, but the violation of what is to me a deeply sentimental talisman is what really raises my hackles. Since this incident, I have been a seething volcano of anger, a shambling cauldron of hate. I know people have their houses burned down, get terrible life-altering injuries and diseases, or suffer countless types of loss far greater than what is, by contrast, my mild inconvenience. Yet, despite trying to maintain such perspective, I found it really hard not to just be constantly pissed, and I'm not an uptight, angry guy by nature. My goal is not to forgive this vandal with some basic beatific grace. My goal is not to forgive this vandal with some beatific grace. I hope whoever it was gets hit by a convoy of syphilitic steamrollers.
Nice.
But I don't want my irritation with this unknown individual to turn me into a sourpuss. Do you have any wisdom to impart regarding getting through this massive impasse of ire? Is there a mantra I ought to recite? Perhaps a game you'd recommend as being especially cathartic? Or maybe you have a way of looking at this occurrence that would be positive. I don't want my attitude to be determined by this faceless schmuck. Help! Cordially yours, in the dong from base to tip, Danger Dave.
In the dong from base to tip?
That's what it says.
In
right?
the
Cordially
dong.
yours, in the dong from base to tip,
All right.
Danger Dave. So, I'm glad you guys are on this podcast because I'm a seething cauldron of rage and I don't really have any.
Well, none of our advice has worked for you so far, so I don't know how it's going to work for Danger Dave.
Well, it might work for Dave. I'm a cranky sourpuss by nature. I was cranky when I was 7.
I got it.
All right,
I got it.
Okay,
I got it.
Tell Dave.
Dave.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like Jeff, do you?
You don't want to be like.
You don't want to become
bro.
Jeff.
Whoa.
You got to let that shit go.
I'm even
Jeff is going to cry.
Wait, no.
at the
Here,
end of this.
I've got one. Look at it this way: you now have something directly in common with John Travolta's character in Pulp Fiction.
Jesus.
I feel like that just make him more angry.
When I was reading it, all I could think of was that point where he's like, "It would have been worth him doing it if I could have caught him doing it." Have either of you guys ever had your car fucked with, vandalized?
Oh, I've had my car egged before.
Like broken into ever though?
Like,
or?
yes.
Yeah.
Fairly recently.
Did it make you a seething cauldron of rage?
No, it made me really paranoid and scared.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, that one was weird because they didn't take anything.
Yeah.
But they also left the door open, and I walk to my car at 2 a.m. So so to know that somebody at some point walked up to our car, opened the door, and got into our car.
And rifled through stuff.
Left, and then the very next day at 2 a.m, I had to walk to my car, get into my car.
Ooh, yeah, I can see.
It's a very scary thought.
Yeah,
yeah. I actually had my car broken into back when I lived in Houston, and I went to a Fry's.
Fry's electronics store for those who
Fry's
don't have
Electronics. And I walked inside to buy a new video game because I wanted to buy a new video game, and had my backpack, my radio, like the truck that I was in was broken into. They stole my backpack, which had all my school books because I was in college at the time.
Oh, that's a rough one.
But no, hold on, it gets worse. A laptop that I had purchased in Denmark, which was awesome because it was the operating system was entirely in Danish, and the keyboard was a Danish keyboard, and I fucking love that thing because it threw people off. Anytime someone would try to use my laptop, they'd be like, "What the fuck is this moon language?"
Oh, and
I'd be like, "Haha, I know where everything is instinctually because I know Windows."
Yeah,
I don't even need to read what it says. I know what it is. Also there were 4 DVDs in there for movies, and because I had just come from work, and it was one of those things where I had a bunch of stuff that I had with me at work, and I went in to go buy a video game, and then come out, and the laptop I was going to play the video game on has now been stolen.
Right.
And also 2 of my favorite movies that I had to go find on DVD again, one of which I couldn't, which was really annoying. So yes, I've had my stuff broken into, and then Fry's was like, "Oh, well, sorry, we couldn't help you because our only camera in our parking lot was blocked by the giant unloading truck with the Fry's logo on it because we don't have a loading station in the back. We load everything from the front doors, and they park directly in front of the camera because that's where they park. Sorry, you're SOL."
Fry's is the worst.
Yeah. I actually didn't shop at Fry's for 12 years after that.
Yep. I haven't gone there in a long time. But you were not a seething cauldron of rage after this happened.
I probably was.
Yeah.
But I just realized there's not really anything I can do about that person or whoever stole it and that stuff. And I tried to fix and replace what I could. It cost money, unfortunately.
Yeah.
To buy a new laptop and buy those school books all over again, and all the other stuff that I lost.
That's why you should just download your books now.
Well, now. This is not then. But, I mean, it
can't be blamed for when you were born.
But
I'm saying now.
Are you sure?
Yeah, but, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's just like, it sucked, and I kind of just moved on. I just kind of went, you know what? There's no reason for me to continue being super pissed off and upset.
Right.
It's not gonna help me. It's not gonna help anyone else. I just move on.
I do think you should be allowed to be.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you should totally.
I think your automatic instinct should not be to I need to get unangry. You should let yourself have that anger for a minute because it does suck.
Yeah.
And then you move on.
I can assure you, I was probably a pissed off ball of hate for at least a week or two.
Yeah.
For at least 20 minutes after the fact.
So I'm going to tell Dave 2 stories that I hope will answer this question, or at least give him some perspective on it. I'm going to tell him in short detail. One, when I was a kid, I was doing acid at a friend's house. This is when I was 14 or 16 or 17 or something like that. And I drove my car over there, and we came out, and some people had gone into my car. I didn't used to lock my doors. Some people had gone into my car, and they stolen the faceplate off of my radio. This is back when the radios had removable faceplates.
Yeah.
You're supposed to take them with you as a security device because you can't get another faceplate very easily. So we actually found out that we came out, we made a police report. The police were actually there because there was filling out a police report on acid, by the way, is not fun. But there was
a report of kids taking acid somewhere in the area.
There was actually a neighbor who had said that some kids had come and stolen a bunch of stuff off their front porch and stuff. So we actually found out there was a group of these 3 kids that have gone down one street and then up the street that we were on, basically just trying to rip off whatever they could because they were 16-year-old assholes and they were just fucking pieces of shit. Well, we asked around the neighborhood with the shady folks, and they, a few of them that were our friends, were like, oh, yeah, those guys came by here and they showed us all the stuff that they stole. I'm like, oh, do you know who they are? And they were like, yes. And like, do you know where they live? And they're like, yeah. So we went to the guy's house, and then we called the police, and we said, hey, we filed a report earlier. We found the guy that took all this stuff. We're at his house. You need to come and talk to him. And the police were like, well, that's not how it works. We're not going to do that. So then we called the police back, and we said, okay, it's us again. If you don't come down here, we're going to talk to him. Mm-hmm. And like 3 cop cars showed up immediately. Like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yep.
So they ring the doorbell. Asshole comes to the doorbell. He's got like muddy shoes on, but he's like, oh,
he's literally wearing evidence.
Yeah, he's like wearing my jacket. No, he's got my faceplate around his neck like a gold chain. No, he comes to the door and he's like, oh, no, I've been asleep all night. Right, Mom? And she's like, yeah, he's been here the whole time. And the police are like, that's it. We're done.
Yeah.
So that was like the first strike of like if the police were able to track this guy down, there's a good possibility, like even if you knew that this person was the person, that they wouldn't do anything. Mm-hmm. The second story comes when I went to my friend's house. I came out and somebody had busted one of the windows in my car and rifled through a bunch of shit because all I had were burned CDs. They were looking for something. They stole my art box that had all my pencils and graphite and stuff in it. And they were walking down the street, and this guy who stole my stuff, he looked like super thug, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that cops saw him in the area because there had been a bunch of different break-ins. My friend's car had gotten broken into like 2 weeks ago in that area, carrying this, and they were like, hey, what's going on there, buddy? And so actually when we went out, we saw that my window was broken in, all my shit was on the street, and then like a half a block up the street, the cops were cuffing this guy and putting him in the car. So they caught the guy who broke into my car. Mm-hmm. And then I talked to them, and they said, we want you to come essentially press charges and testify against this guy. And I thought about it for a long time, and I actually asked the cops, like, well, if I do this, is the judge going to, like, order him to pay for my window? Mm-hmm. And they're like, no. You will have to take him to a civil court case separately to try to sue him for the money to pay for the damages to your car.
Yeah.
And I thought about it for a long time and was like, it's just not worth it, right? It's just not worth it to potentially maybe make this guy who lives by a friend of mine whose house I go to all the time into some kind of weird enemy who's going to see my car again and be like, oh, now we're going to burn your car to the ground, right? Because I don't give a fuck. The same thing happened to me at a time when somebody stole some money from me and they got arrested for a string of thefts that they had done. And what you come to find out is that the police and the justice system is not under any obligation to tell you what the result of that prosecution was. Mm-hmm. You can request that information, but they're like, it's not like the police let you have closure by sitting in and watching this stuff. And it's a whole pain in the ass, comes out of all your time and whatever. So what I'm going to say to you is that, at least from your perspective, if you were to have caught that guy doing that, there's a large possibility that you would have not even been able to know whether justice had been served in the first place. So be angry. And Dave, it sounds like you're not an angry person to begin with. So I'm sure that eventually your rage is going to work itself through, and you're going to kind of go back to
I would take, as far as blowing off steam, I would take fixing your car and getting it back to where it was. Use that as your therapy, because then you can realize that no matter what they do, you can always rebuild and fix.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what matters.
Or you can play the game Hatred. No.
Actually, when I get angry, I play with Legos.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's very cathartic.
Plays the fuck out of those Legos when he's trying to cram them together.
Clack. You just put them together super hard. Fucking
It's strangely cathartic, building stuff with Legos.
I tell you what, I get pissed off. I haven't been super happy this week, and I find that, again, I hate to keep saying this, but Kerbal Space Program is just so, like, zen and space and building rockets with little dudes in it that I'm just like, yay.
I'm sure Minecraft is also the same way.
I'm sure Minecraft works as
well.
well.
Yeah, for sure.
Something I could give you, not necessarily something where you can, like, I know for some people, places where you can actually, like, use as an outlet to get your aggression out can work, but then there's also a case to be made for something that can let you just escape everything for a certain amount of time, which like, games like Minecraft are great for just like,
I've been super duper stressed, and it's been making me really grumpy this last week.
Yeah.
And I just found a show and then started marathoning it.
Yep, so, that too.
Yeah.
Yep, that'll work. All right, our next one comes in from Steve Handjobs.
Yeah.
This is one of those questions that we get asked all the time, but I like to ask it every so often. It says, "Hey guys, just wanted to ask if you have any particular favorite game music score or soundtrack. I know my blood gets pumping when the Half-Life 2 action score kicks in. I feel like This is an aspect of games that could be more innovative. For example, having music react to the situation the player is in. Maybe this is already done. I don't know. Thanks, Steve Handjobs, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Handjobs.
It's funny because, Steve, I can see your actual real name. But anyway, I'm not going to... this is not a doxing podcast. This is just an asking questions podcast. So you guys...
His real name, Handjobs.
Tell your names. Yes, his name is Mr. Hand. His name is Larry Handjobs. He just goes by Steve.
Steve is his middle name.
It's actually Dr. Handjobs. He didn't go to medical school just to be called Mr. Handjobs.
Dr. Handjobs the Third. That's what...
I like it's multiple handjobs. Like, not one handjob.
Yeah, all of the handjobs. Guys, what's some of your favorite video game music?
Bastion has amazing music.
Bastion is
on that
choice.
Same line. The only video game that I actually have a Spotify playlist that's just like random music.
Yeah.
I only have one video game soundtrack on there, and I have like about 5 or 6 songs from it. Transistor.
Oh, yeah?
I fucking love that soundtrack.
Yeah, I never went back and listened to that. I think that what got me into the Bastion soundtrack was the song Brusher Patrol, which is a really good song.
It is. It really is.
And that kind of got me into the rest of it. But I don't know if there was ever anything from Transistor that just stood out as well.
For me, it was the one that they used in that first trailer that's also in the game.
Okay.
It's Till All Are One or something like that. All Are One. I can't remember the name of the song, but it's really good.
Okay.
Besides that, Red Dead Redemption has a fantastic soundtrack.
That too.
There's that one song that they used in the trailer that I think is probably one of my favorite songs from any of the Rockstar games. It has the horns in it that they kind of cut along to the trailer. That's also really, really good.
You know what soundtrack I also like?
What's that?
Rock Band.
Rock Band.
Oh, okay.
No. Shut up, John.
Okay. No, I'm joking. I'm
Brutal
joking
Legend
on
has
that
a good one if you like heavy metal.
Brutal Legend,
It's amazing.
I think that one of my... every time this question comes up, I say this. The Simon Viklund Bionic Commando Rearmed soundtrack, where it's kind of like techno remix of all of the original Bionic Commando stuff, is fucking incredible.
I will say another soundtrack that it's a game franchise I like it a lot. We've talked about it. We even got shit for talking about it. Halo.
Okay.
The music in that fucking game is epic.
Destiny has the same composer, right? That I've always to this day I feel bad that we didn't give the when we were reviewing Destiny that we didn't give the music in Destiny like just special.
It's just cause,
because it's fucking incredible.
Yeah, but the Halo franchise, the music in that. Oh my god! Listening to that, I get pumped, and I'm like, I'm about to do something fucking epic. Yeah. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Battle Block Theater.
Yeah.
Has amazing. Rayman Legends has a fantastic one.
Oh, Rayman Legends is great.
Yeah.
Portal 1 and 2 have amazing music.
I thought Portal 2 was like mostly procedurally generated music.
Was it?
Yeah, that was like generated in the game engine.
Huh.
I don't know.
That's cool.
Know. I mean, I know Portal 1 was the soundtrack was just I played it like nonstop.
Cool. Yeah, let's see. I tell you what, it's not a specific game, but if you ever want something that is like truly awesome to pump your day up, go get the Mini Bosses album Brass, which is basically just this heavy metal band, or not heavy metal. I guess it would just be like kind of rock and roll, hard rock and roll-ish, that just do like covers of NES music on electric guitars. Have you guys?
Yeah.
I know who the Mini Bosses are.
All right.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you're
like.
Are we going to start going into those? Because you can do the Megas, you can do Descendants of Erdrick, which is a local band. You can do... I feel like I'm missing.
Or if you want to do a band that is inspired, but not like all their songs are inspired by, but not actually based on actual music, you can go with the Proto Men.
Okay.
They're pretty badass.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think of
a good cover album that just came out recently.
I tell you what, I mean, as much as I hate to bring up both of these, I'll be very brief. Everything from the Souls franchise, from Demon Souls all the way up to Bloodborne, especially some of the boss soundtracks are really fantastic. And then, while I'm not super big about some of the tracks, at least the title track to the Metal Gear Solid franchise, the one that Harry Gregson Williams did for Metal Gear Solid 2, I think is really, really good.
I agree with that.
Some of the action music in the Metal Gear franchise is really just like, a lot of the Harry Gregson Williams stuff is just like really kind of thumping and good. I'm really curious about after that Metal Gear Solid. Did you watch the 40-minute one yet?
No.
It's like all 80s music, man. Like,
it takes place in the 80s.
Yeah, but I mean, like, Snake
Does that
driving
just hit you right in your happy part?
It
'Cause
really does.
You are all about the 80s music.
No, there's a part in that trailer where Solid Big Boss is driving a Jeep and he's got his eye patch wolf dog sitting in the passenger seat and they're listening to Maneater as they drive across the Afghanistan desert. I'm just like, what is going on here? I love it. I don't know what it is, but I absolutely love it. Anything else of note that we should throw down? I think we got a pretty good bunch of stuff there.
Yeah. Also, I'm a big fan of remixes for video games. So OC Remix is fucking awesome.
Okay.
It's a website that's just basically a gigantic.
Is it chiptune stuff?
It's just any type of thing. It's like anything that people remixing or redoing video game soundtracks, and it's all available online to listen and play for free, and it's just hundreds of gigs of songs, and it's amazing.
Cool.
I feel like we should also mention the Star Wars Connect game had the amazing reworked Star Wars songs to dance to.
The ones that ripped off like MC Chris and a couple of other people.
As far as I know, it's only that one. It's only that Jason Derulo Han Solo song, because that original MC Chris song was way good. I'll tell you what though, if you ever find yourself, this isn't video game music, right? If you ever find yourself having to do like some housework or some really like menial task that you don't really want to do, I swear to you right now, put on the soundtrack from the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Whatever you're doing is gonna be like
epic.
A shitload better.
Nice.
Anyway, thank you, Steve, for your question.
Thanks, handjobs.
This also comes in from Joe. Joe says, hello, Jeff and John and Amanda. I've been listening since the later days of Spill, but I haven't been able to find anything to write about until now. Very recently, my girlfriend of 8 months and I had a bad breakup. Besides feeling heartbroken and hurt, I just feel angry. Had bad breakups before, but not like this. I was wondering if you've gone through any bad breakups yourselves, and if so, what did you do to get over the initial shock and heartbreak of it? Thanks for all your hard work with everything and keeping me sane on my third shift security job. Insert dong joke here, Joe.
I feel like if we inserted it, it would be its own joke. You insert that dong right in.
Insert the dong
Maybe
joke.
insert it in a little bit, then pull it out a little, and then insert it back in.
I see what you did there. Sorry, I'm going to stop making that horrible noise now. I think we get a lot of personal advice questions.
We do get a lot.
Yeah.
Amanda breaks up with me at least twice a day.
Okay.
That's true.
How do you deal with that? Is it that why you're so angry? You're putting the Legos together?
We
Is that-
actually, he makes our house is made of Legos.
I've built like 4 houses.
Well, we
in our
have an
neighborhood.
agreement that our close personal friend Randy Lander has to approve of the breakup.
Okay.
Because he approved of the relationship.
Okay.
So he refuses to. So it doesn't matter how many times I break up with John. We are not officially broken up.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
That's how that relationship works.
Okay. Well, John, how do you get through your bad breakup?
I haven't really had one because I haven't had to acknowledge any of them.
Okay.
He moves to a different city and then pretends like it's all.
No. Like I said, I haven't really I've never had a bad breakup.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
So he's been really
I'm going to be
casual.
honest. I haven't been in a whole lot of relationships.
Yeah.
But it's been like the first one was kind of we just kind of stopped talking to each other and just moved on.
Yeah.
And like we've seen each other before, and it's like, hey, how's it going? Oh, it's good. All right, see you later. Kind of like almost to the point that I sometimes question whether it was an actual relationship or if that was just in my head.
Sounds like you didn't break
That's
up so much as
creepy.
just kind of like drifted away slowly.
Yeah. And then the other one was more of it was a mutual thing. It was like, yeah, this relationship's not working.
Okay.
So. And then, like I said, all the others have been Amanda trying to break up with me, which I don't acknowledge.
Amanda, how do you deal with a bad breakup?
I try to find Randy Lander and I go, no. Okay, so I've only had one really big relationship besides the one I'm in with John. And that one ended horribly. That one ended with him trying to kill me in a car.
No good.
Yeah.
That's no good.
So well, it was the kind of thing. We had an argument, and he was driving me back home, and basically, I was like, as soon as we get home, we'll break up. Like that's it. Like, and he ended up asking me if I was going to break up with him on the drive, and I said, well, yeah. And he went, okay, we're gonna die, and he locked the doors and started driving really fast, like really, really fast. And it wasn't until I started like kind of hitting, like trying to get out of the car, like trying to force the door open, that he stopped and was like, I was playing, I was kidding. Yeah. Super
charming.
Yeah. Well, he was an amazing guy, made me hate myself and isolated me from my family and all that fun stuff. So that breakup, basically, here's go through a whore phase. Like, enjoy being single.
Yeah.
Because it sucks. Understand that you're going through, because he's asking, like, how do you get over the whole shock and everything?
Right.
Enjoy the whore phase. Yeah. Every guy or girl, you go through a whore phase where you'll be like, I don't want to be in a relationship because that breakup sucked. And enjoy it. Have fun being single.
Yeah, and I would say, if you need to, give yourself a little bit of time.
Yeah, well, I don't mean like jump out of her bed and jump into somebody else's right away.
Give yourself a little bit of time. Get the anger out. Like we said earlier, if you're going to be angry, get some anger out for a little bit. If you're going to be sad a little bit. But then look at it and go, all right, put on, Cher's Believe, and then just go out there and start partying it up.
That's to get your anger out, right?
That was amazing.
Like punching holes in
because you got to believe in life after love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
no, you gotta
maybe listen to what Me First and the Gimme Gimmes version of Believe, just to masculine it up a bit. But I think
still auto-tuned.
It is still auto-tuned. That is a good point. That is a valid point in this conversation.
I mean, I think that a lot of it is just it's time, right?
Yeah.
So I think that part of that anger conversation of finding ways to distract yourself to give you at least a temporary let up from your own internal head spinning aroundy stuff always works.
Yeah.
Binge watching a show or playing a game or something like that. Something that can just take you away from it so that you're not just concentrating on it and spinning around faster. It's also good to have people around. I know this. I don't.
Yeah. Don't isolate yourself.
It's not exactly breakup stuff, but I get real nutty when I don't talk to people for a couple days here in my house. I will get real pissy about stuff that if I just talk to somebody for 4 or 5 minutes, not even about the thing. I don't even have to talk with them about the thing, but like if you just hole up by yourself, you can make yourself feel way worse than you should. Well, if you've got the same kind of stupid brain that I've got. So
yeah, it's like, and also like if you are feeling bad or angry or whatever, obviously let yourself have it. But like you said, go out with get some friends. Just go out. It doesn't have to be. Don't go on a date or whatever. Just go out, get some friends.
Yeah, go
out, go to hang out at a bar, hang out at a coffee shop, hang out at a comic shop, whatever you're allowed to do that is within your wheelhouse.
Yep.
Go do it. Just take your mind off of it for a while.
So, also, if you're I don't know how old you are, Joe, but I've found sometimes that while in movies and stuff, like people will get drinky boozy to
don't do that.
That'll make you weepy drunk, and no one wants that.
When I don't do that.
When I say go to a bar, I mean like just go to sit down, talk with your friends,
have, like casual fun. Not
have don't go there to get piss poor drunk so that you don't remember what you did the next day.
Yeah,
that's not cool.
Is it not? Fuck! I've been doing this wrong.
I've been telling you since I've met you that
he's not gonna remember. He's drunk.
I'm sorry.
Put the beer down.
No. Never.
I don't know if other people work this way, but I find that mantras don't work for me. Like, I think I can. I think that's never going to work.
That's a little engine that could.
Right. Okay. That's a mantra, though. It's still a mantra. But
she's got you there.
I do. I do think, like, I do use songs or movies or things to get me in the right headspace. So, like, there are songs that I will listen to if I'm feeling a certain way that will get me, like, motivated to do something.
Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack.
Yeah. And really, I mean, it is whatever works for you. Like, I know some guys that, like, they watch Rocky and then they're back in that, like, get back in the game head zone, if that makes sense.
Right.
Watch High Fidelity. That's the guy breakup movie.
Yeah.
Listen to Eye of the Tiger over and over again.
I love Eye of the Tiger.
Listen to Me First and the Gimme Gimmes album, Are We Not Men? We Are Diva, because that's nothing but music about women picking themselves up after bad breakups.
So are you going to give me the check from Me First and the Gimme Gimmes when we get done here?
Yeah.
Or is that coming in the mail later?
Oh, no, I just like that
okay.
band.
Okay. No, that's about all I got. I mean, there's no cure-all and there's nothing that you can do, but the things that I found, at least in my experience, to be real bad about that is, one, not letting yourself ever get out of that headspace, and then two, isolation is a bad thing. And you should have some friends that understand that you may be hanging out with them and being miserable for a while. One of the things that I really don't like about some of the older friends that I have was that, and this is something I don't even know, I don't even really have any experience with this anymore because it's been forever since I dated anybody. But I did have friends that after a certain amount of time stopped allowing me to be upset, where they would just be like, I don't want to hear it anymore. And I think that the amount of time that you're going to need to be upset, like, there's probably a reasonable cutoff point there, but it shouldn't be when your friends are bored of hearing you talk about it. It should probably have a little bit more to do with what's on the inside of your own head.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's different for each person, too.
Yeah, totally different. Origami Zergling, your question about Devil May Cry is way fucking long. Let's see. I'm going to try to condense this because it gives me a chance to talk about. I'm not liking that one. That one, yes. That one, no. Okay.
So the answer to this is not Origami Zerglings, but the answer to those other emails that he just closed out were yes, no, fuck you, and yes.
Yeah. So you
and
could
purple.
Take that. Right.
You can figure out whose emails are whose.
Let's see.
Answers to whose.
Okay, I'm going to try to cut out some of this. Okay.
I'm trying to find a question mark in
there. Yeah, I think this is the one.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So here we go. I'm going to try to cut. I'm going to cut that one and that one. All right. It's still going to be a pretty long question. All hail the mighty priests of Dong and their swollen scrotum. It is I, Origami Zergling, returning once more to seek your wisdom. I should preface my question by stating that I am a die-hard Devil May Cry fan. Each installment in the series, with the exceptions of the hideous train wreck of the second and the poorly executed reboot, represent several thousand hours of gameplay and mastery to me, and DMC4 accounts for nearly 500 of those hours, according to my Xbox save file and Steam account. Yikes.
I disagree with you on DMC Devil May Cry.
I too disagree.
We'll get to that. To put it frankly, Devil May Cry is my Dark Souls. So then he says, let's see, or she says, I had an interesting thought about purchasing the latest edition, being that it was not only my fourth copy of the same game with a few extra features, not the least of which being a goddamn autosave, but it also a direct violation of my usual rule against pre-orders. Yes, I pre-ordered the game that I already own, Die Hard fan, remember? The thought was to question the merit of my support of this game, a game which Capcom has abandoned with the addition of the reboot that shall not be named. Should I be continuing to throw my money at this franchise for small updates to a 7-year-old title? Does my willingness to do so support this IP or merely undermine my frugality as a consumer? Am I encouraging Capcom to make a direct sequel, DMC5 please, or am I just lining their indifferent pockets at this point? Keep raging and may your enemies be played with awkward boners in gym class. Origami Zergling. Sorry, Origami, I'm going to cut out a bunch of your stuff in here. But basically, we just last week had the release of the Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, which was HD'd up, and they added
new characters.
Yeah, they added
playable characters.
What's Dante's brother's name?
Virgil.
Virgil as a playable main character. And then they had a Trish/Lady combined campaign, which they didn't actually see. The interesting thing about that is that they have the original game the way it was originally put out with Dante and Nero. They have some different costumes for them, and then they have these other ones that have a new opening cinematic to their storyline. But then they just went through and basically excised, as near as I can tell. I played a little bit of it with Lady, and as near as I can tell, they excised all of the story cinematics that take place over the course of the game, so they didn't redo them all. They just did an opening one, and I don't know, there may be a closing one, but there's a part where Nero and this boss monster meet each other, and they're walking past each other, and then they turn around, they quip a little bit, and they start fighting. Well, when Lady comes into that same area, it's just start fighting the boss monster. There is no lead up to that.
Yeah.
So his question, I think his, or maybe her, I don't know. Yes, his. Origami Zergling is basically that Capcom. There's so many fans that are pissed off about the Devil May Cry remake, the DMC remake, right? Mm-hmm. And then this is the next game that they've put out, and it's basically just an HDification with a few added bonus features. Not a lot, but a few bonus features from the original. Should people be buying this? Are they supporting, basically showing interest in a Devil May Cry 5, or are they just lining Capcom's pockets, as he says?
Well, you have to look at it this way. First of all, DMC Devil May Cry, which I still admit is a good game.
I like it.
Despite what people who claim to be hardcore fans think.
Right.
I think it's a good game. They released a definitive edition on the current generation at PS4 and then now they've released DMC4 as a definitive edition on the Xbox One and the PS4. Part of me has to wonder if they're gauging which version of the franchise to continue with. Mm-hmm. And they're going, okay, whichever one sells better and one of them has to hit a certain number.
Right.
That's the one we're going to just go with. Like, I wonder if that may be the mental thought.
I mean, I wonder if they came out with a Devil May Cry 5, I know that the people who like the old Devil May Cry franchise are hardcore fans, and they want to see that story continued, right? But I wonder if we're not in a position where the amount of money that it would take to make a new Devil May Cry may not translate into the number of sales that they want to see for profit-wise of a new Devil May Cry. And so, if that's the case, then what you're saying makes perfect amount of sense of gauging people's reaction based on that. I think that if this Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition doesn't sell fairly well, that you might just see Capcom go, fuck it, because...
Like they've done with a lot of their franchises.
Konami and Capcom have been saying fuck it with a lot of shit recently, where it's like, to me, I just feel like they don't know what to do. Like,
well, it feels like all Capcom was like, who cares about making new stuff? Let's just HDify the old stuff and call it a day.
Yeah.
That's all people want is just the same thing. So let's just HDify it and move on.
Yeah. Are you a fan at all of Devil May Cry?
I like the remake. I never played the other ones.
Oh, okay.
As far as this is all concerned, no matter what you do, no matter which version you're buying, you will be lining Capcom's pockets. That's kind of business. You're giving them money, so I wouldn't really worry about that. But, and I don't think anyone should really be ashamed about buying anything like this. If they're a fan and this is something they want, get it. I don't care. There's no guarantee one way or the other that they're gonna even if it sells like crazy and everyone wants Devil May Cry 4's
5.
Well, the rematch, the thing.
Oh yeah.
Everyone wants that. That does not guarantee they're gonna have a Devil May Cry 5.
Sure.
There is no guarantees in this one way or the other. So, this should be a thing that if you want it, you get it.
Yeah.
If you don't want it, don't buy it and then complain about them not coming out with a 5th one.
Right. You're saying that if you buy it because you want it, but don't feel like you're entitled to another game just because you bought this game.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes a certain amount of sense. I often wonder why we're not. Maybe I'm just not looking in the right place, but why we're not seeing like more Kickstarters for stuff like Devil May Cry, like real super tight, super action, super technical, like third-person kind of action type of stuff.
Probably because they're expensive to make.
Probably so.
Because that's why truthfully, most Kickstarters are 2D games. Are just with pixel or sprite art or or they're 2D games or they're isometric games. They're very, you don't see a lot of
like full 3D.
Yeah, full 3D Kickstarters with the polish that a Devil May Cry would have, because those games cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And right now it's like the only way you can get $1 million is to either have a company asking to make a game that people really want, such as Double Fine,
right,
or you have a property that is well known and established, like Shenmue,
right,
to do it. Or Shadowlands or Wasteland 2 or any of that. You have to have a name, the brand that someone wants.
Yeah.
And that's and even those, they're limited in scope.
Yeah. I don't know. I almost feel like I don't know. I thought Devil May Cry 4 was okay. I'm not a super big fan of the way that Nero plays in that game.
Well, I've never really been a big fan of Nero, so
I like Dante more than Nero.
Yeah.
And I like Dante in 3 and 1, and I never played much of 2. But then, like you, we've talked about multiple times. I liked the reboot as well.
Yeah.
So because I'm just not as tied to the idea that character has to be exactly what he was before.
Yeah,
so,
I thought it was a very interesting take on the franchise. I thought it was very interesting, and plus, I thought it did a lot of really cool stuff that the franchise, the main franchise, has never done, and it's done some also, and it also did some stuff badly that the other franchise, that the main franchise has done better.
I thought it was an interesting take. It's funny. There's a lot of people who talk to me a lot about this, and there's this one sentiment where people will say, "Jeff, you just don't get it," and that I can't tell you how frustrating it is when people say that to me, because I played all those games, right? I played them all the way to the end.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you don't feel what they feel, Jeff. You don't understand.
And I guess it's just weird to me because I don't know. I just didn't have I just couldn't really get the ire and the hatred that people had for that new one. I mean, I know all the reasons. Like they've been emailed to me in depth, all the reasons about why you like Dante and why you don't like.
And they'll be emailed to you again, sir.
Obviously, every time this comes up, that's going to be that whole thing all over again.
Yeah.
Or why you want the action to be as razor sharp as it was in the previous ones, and et cetera, et cetera. But for me, they were fine. They were games, and I played them, and I liked them.
Fun game with a fun take on a character.
So I mean, I wonder at some point if the DMC reboot had gotten more support, if it got enough support that they were going to make a sequel, if it wouldn't have been a better move for fans to have gotten DMC and then pressure Capcom to fix the things they didn't like in the sequel, instead of just saying, well, this whole thing is garbage and should be forgotten about it. And as this email says, never be named, as if it's like if this is an Aliens Colonial Marines, right, or just some horrible garbage piece of shit.
Do you think the fan hatred has killed its own franchise?
See, I wonder about that, and that's one of the things I was saying to somebody before, is that I hope that the fans who didn't buy DMC buy the special edition of Devil May Cry 4 in droves, to show Capcom that they want another game. Because the thing is that if they're not willing to again, it's like the Kickstarter thing we were talking about earlier.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Put your money where your mouth is, right? Mm-hmm. That if you're just like, well, we don't want DMC, so we're not going to buy it because it didn't sell very well. I mean, it sold decent, but not not to the point where you would ever make a sequel for it.
Right.
Then you have to have some way of showing Capcom that if they to go to the $40 million that it would take to make Devil May Cry 5, that you are all going to come out on day one and buy the shit out of this game. Yeah. And not just you, but that you're going to proselytize it to your friends, that you're going to try to get people all over the place to buy it. Because the thing is that Capcom, I feel like Capcom has just had a problem recently where they've run most of their franchises to the point where they can't count on selling a Resident Evil game and getting the return on investment that they used to get.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they still got Street Fighter. That'll keep them going for a long time, but I don't know. It's one of those weird things where I wonder what you just said, that if by totally boycotting and shitting all over DMC, if they haven't just put Capcom in a position where they go, we don't even want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah, because it turns into a thing where we didn't make a lot of money from that, and the fans hated it.
Right.
So maybe it's a dead franchise.
They just let it drift away. Mm-hmm.Maybe they go back through. Maybe they'll spend the next 5 years HDifying 4, 3, 2, and 1 until they've got the entirety of that HD'd, and then see where they go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know.
All right. I think you got 2 more questions. These are both going to be real fast. This first one is from Ruskles06, who says, Dear Jeff and the Holograms, that's a good one. Hope you had an awesome week filled with stuffies and scotch bowls. My question today is about Minecraft. I just checked their website at work where they have an active ticker showing how many people have bought their game from PC/Mac. It's currently at 19,986,813 and slowly rising each second as I type this email. My question is, do you think this will ever happen again where a game that would be considered early access managed to shape how the industry views crafting games and the like? Once again, less of a question, more of a holy shit 20 million people plus all the console sales as well post. Have a great day, Ruskles06. P.S. Now it's at 19,986,867. Yes. There's always a thing like this that happens.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be another crafting game, but I think there will be a game in early access that everyone runs to and loves, and it becomes this huge thing. And people make careers off of doing Let's Plays of it because people did on Minecraft.
I mean, the thing about Minecraft is it essentially did early access before there was a thing such as early access.
Yep.
It was kind of the game that said, hey, this model works.
Actually, as I understand, it wasn't so much early access as it was, well, just selling the beta.
Yeah.
And then the fact that the price kept going up. So the earlier you invested,
the less you paid.
The less you paid, which is that's really cool. I think that's a great way. I mean, I think that you could maybe even have an early access structure, like if a company like Steam would support it, where you basically bake into it. Like,
well, that's
in 30 days, the price is going to go
actually,
up.
A lot of companies do that with early access.
Oh, yeah?
Where if you buy it while it's in early access, then you're paying a certain price, and then when it actually gets fully released, they jack the price up.
Right. I guess what I'm saying is to see the price essentially slowly raise as
over
development
time
gets more and more done. I don't necessarily know if it'll be Kickstarter, but I mean, I think that we always have these sea change kind of watershed moments where something new happens, and then that's like it's like a gold rush, right? That happens in the game industry where suddenly everybody is on. We got to do this, right? And early access was probably one of the last ones. I mean, maybe VR will be the next one. Maybe not. You know, maybe we'll get to a point where streaming games on your phone, you know, through so you can have like a PlayStation 4 game on your phone, right? Maybe that'll be the next thing.
Through like PlayStation Now.
Yeah, something like that. Or you know, who knows? That's the hardest thing, is that if I could tell you what the next one of these things would be, I would do it.
Yeah.
Because I want to be fucking notch rich.
Who doesn't want to be notch rich?
Yeah.
Have all those fedoras?
Does he have a lot of fedoras?
Notch wears fedoras, man.
I don't know.
All right.
How dare you not know?
How dare you not know? Do you even know what Notch looks like? How dare you call yourself a gamer?
That's right.
I just assume he looks like a little cube.
I've kind of given up on that of how dare you call yourself a gamer. I've kind of decided that, like, if that's what we're doing these days, I'm not a gamer anymore, and you guys can just keep that shit to yourself, and I'll be a filthy casual / VR
goddamn
enthusiast.
filthy casual.
Yeah.
Peasant.
How dare you?
I'm going to be the casual VR enthusiast. I'm only into playing casual games.
Register that domain name, sir.
I want to play threes on the HoloLens. That's all that I'm into these days.
Nice.
But no, Ruscals, I'm sure there'll
be like a really boring Minority Report where you just like swipe and swipe.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and then one last question, and this one is very short. This one comes from I'm just going to call you. You says, man, guys, put like a hello and then like a.
It's in the subject.
Oh, is it? Hello, Ragecasters. I have a question for you. As both games come out at the same time, which will get more attention from Rage Slate, Mad Max or Metal Gear Solid 5?
Yes.
Probably be Metal Gear Solid 5, but I'm really looking forward to Mad Max.
Don't get me wrong, I'm really looking forward to Mad Max as well, but I'm going to be playing Metal Gear Solid 5. Like, I'll do a dojo for Mad Max. Metal Gear Solid 5 gets first dibs because I'm breaking my own rules with that, but fuck it. It's one of my favorite franchises. Like,
yeah.
Not that Mad Max don't look good, and I don't want to play it.
I would just like to call dibs on being on the dojo for Mad Max.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'll say that now.
Is that what we're doing now?
I don't know. Isn't that how it's done? That's why I've never been on a dojo that often.
Shotgun rules. It's like you've got to be in the house when I have the game.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Like I'm not on very many dojos. I figure since I don't call dibs on anything, that's why I'm not getting on them.
All right. You call them dibs. Amanda,
dibs. Man, I need to go to the store and give me some dibs, man. Those things are good.
Mad Max. Over between Mad Max and Metal Gear Solid, yeah.
He's got a dog in 80s music. Come on.
I don't like 80s music.
Shit.
One time, me and you hung out at a bar, and this is when I drank more, and we were both drunk, and we went to your house, and you were like, let's play Rock Band, and the only songs on Rock Band you had were 80s songs.
Yeah.
And it almost ruined our friendship.
Yeah.
So no.
So cool.
So that's why I'm not playing Metal Gear Solid, because you almost ruined our friendship with 80s music.
Okay, we'll have to go into why you don't like 80s music another time. But that's it for today's Ragecast. My dog is looking at... Or, this isn't a Ragecast. Rage Like Podcast. My dog is looking at me. He wants to go on to walk real bad. When you say that word, his ears just like popped up. So if you have questions, send them to mail@rageselect.com. That is mail@rageselect.com. Please send your questions in. If we didn't answer them this week, send them in again. We'll answer them next week. Maybe. Depends on the question. If you send the same question in 4 times in a row and we don't answer it, maybe pick a different question.
Yeah.
In any case, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll be back tomorrow with the dojos and such. So, John and Amanda, anything you'd like to say in terms of signing out to our folks?
No, I got nothing.
Okay.
No, I'm empty.
All right. Bye.